Name: Izuku Midoriya. Age: 14. Quirk: Energized Bones. Bones: Izuku can summon bones of any size in the air or from any surface. They can be full bones or jagged sharp bones. Weapon creation: Izuku can summon weapons made of bone. Energize: Izuku can passively add energy to his bones to strengthen them, making him near indestructible. Blue bones: Izuku can summon blue bones that hurt people if they move. Orange bones: Izuku can summon orange bones that hurt people if they don't move. Gaster Blaster: Izuku can summon dragon-like skulls with glowing blue eyes that fire beams of energy and can come in 3 sizes. Small is human head size, medium is the size of a rhino head, and large is the size of All Might. Psychokinesis: Izuku can move a person or object in any way using telekinesis. Judgment/Karma: this allows Izuku to do continuous damage over time in comparison to a person's sins as the person's own body tears itself apart. If Izuku's eye is yellow, a flickering yellow. Determination: as long as Izuku has determination to achieve something, he can never run out of energy for his quirk. ESP Field: Izuku can sense people and objects within 100 meters of himself passively at all times, but can boost it consciously to 1 kilometer. Shortcut: Izuku can teleport anywhere he wants as long as he either knows the coordinates, can see or imagine the place, or there's a person he's familiar with there. Drawback: if Izuku is not sufficiently determined to do something, the power needed to use his quirk will come from his stamina. His stamina is not enhanced or affected by his quirk aside from the drawback. His physical strength, speed, and durability are enhanced by his determination. Appearance: eyes when using his powers: blue is determined, yellow is judgment/karma. Eyes when using his powers: blue is determined, yellow is judgment/karma. Izuku's eye stages: out of combat. Casual: his eyes are green and he's relaxed and happy. White Scara, blue iris: glowing, he is feeling passionate about doing something and his determination is spiking. White Scara, blue iris: not glowing, he's using his powers without immense determination, just enough to fulfill the energy requirement. Black: his eyes will go pure black and absorb all light when he is enraged beyond simple judgment. Izuku's eye stages: in combat. Black Scara/iris, white pupil: Izuku is prepared to fight. Black Scara and blue iris: not glowing, he's in combat, but not trying hard. Black right eye, black Scara, blue left iris: glowing, working, determined to win a fight. Determination is spiking. Black right eye, black Scara, yellow left iris: glowing, Izuku is feeling large amounts of justice and determination. Physical appearance: the sky is blue. That's a commonly accepted fact. Why is it blue? Mothers say it because it is. Scientists say it's because of the curvature of the Earth and the way the sun interacts with the atmosphere. But as I lay here, staring at it with my guts open to the world, I wonder if it's blue to be peaceful, soothing? I can feel my blood pooling around me on the roof of the school, a dark red, the reverse of the sky's light blue. Breathing hurts. My ribs were broken. Maybe 1 or 2 are all that's keeping it all in place. Most of my body is either blasted by explosions, broken from punches, or frozen or burnt by ice and fire. But it doesn't particularly hurt as much as I expected it to. Maybe my nerves are just that fried. I'm so tired. I feel my eyes close against my will, and I feel my heart stop. The air grows colder. My eyes snap open, and I find myself in a blank expanse. It's not black, but it's not colored. I can tell it's there, but my eyes can't see it. My feet slowly move of their own accord and shuffle me forward. I don't know where I am or what I'm doing, but I know I'm tired. Oh, so tired. I'm not sure when my eyes began registering something different to the blank expanse, but I do notice it eventually. A glow. My feet pick up speed to a normal walk. The glow brightens as I move forward, and I speed up into a slow trot. Then a jog, until finally I'm sprinting as fast as I can, feeling more and more energy fill me as I run harder, faster, I will find the source of the glow. I have to. I might go mad in here otherwise. I'm running in leaps and bounds as my feet lift off the ground from the force I'm putting into my steps. My arms lift into the air beside me, and I feel happiness as I pretend to fly towards the source of the light. A blue light. Now I'm closer. I feel as if I'm coming home after a particularly bad day at school. I land after a particularly far leap and jump forward, not upwards and rocket forward, spinning in the air slightly as I laugh. Gravity cannot hold me. After what I perceive to be hours of flying fun, I finally reach the source of the light, a strong light blue. It's a small heart, about the size of a fist and upside down. And suddenly I feel understanding. My hand reaches forward and grips my soul. Power floods through my body and mind, the blank expanse bursting with color and shape that's blinding at first. And suddenly I'm back in a bed, and I can tell I'm awake as the smell of hospital antibacterial chemicals flood my nose. Nobody would dream smell, let alone hospital smell. I groan softly and turn my head to the side of a hospital room. There were a few other beds in the room with occupants. By the side of the bed was some machines, one that let out a beep every second, one that seemed to be pushing air into my lungs through a tube in my mouth, which felt like I was choking. I felt like I was suffocating. My hands reach up to my mouth. I notice my skin is pale, white, as my hands clasp around the tube. My arms weakling tug at the obstruction in my throat, and it slides painfully. I wince but tug harder, feeling it drag out of my body till it pops and goes flying off the bed. I gasp for air and feel my heart slowing, having sped up during the effort. People, doctors, rush in and come over looking panicked. "You idiot, that's keeping you alive." One doctor looked enraged as he saw me awake. He seems familiar with his goggles and mustache. "Don't. Need it. I can breathe. On my own." I glare at him as I rasp out. "You did. You nearly gave us a heart attack." He glares back. If doctors are going to have a heart attack, maybe they should start hitting the gym. My glare turns to his rotund stomach, which kept getting in the way as he tried to check my vitals. I see him grab a needle. The beep machine goes mad, and I snap my fingers on instinct. A bone erupts from the wall and knocks the needle out of his hand. The needle lands on the bed between my legs as the bone fades. The nurse grabs the needle after getting over her shock and took a look at the contents, likely trying to see what the doctor planned. "Doctor, this is a near-lethal dose of painkillers. For an adult. What were you going to do with this?" She glared at the doctor. "None of your concern." He glared at her in a practiced manner, but it doesn't faze her. That glare doesn't work for me. My quirk negates it. She reaches for her phone and presses a few buttons, bringing it to her ear. "Yes, Mr. Furon?" Dr. Garaki was about to inject a lethal dose of painkillers into a previously thought to be quirkless child. "Garaki." I look at him and he seems familiar, but I also notice the fear in his posture. I used to always feel like that, so I can tell when he's about to run. Another snap of my fingers has a wall of bones sprouting around of him the moment he turned to run. I can feel the energy flowing out of me and make me want to sleep. I fight it off. I won't let this guy escape. Suddenly, a surge of energy floods me, and I can easily keep my concentration. He slams into the wall of bones and bounces off to fall on his ass. Suddenly, I remember where I knew him from. He was my quirk doctor, I realize. "What?" the nurse asks. "He was the one my parent took me to get my quirk diagnosed when I didn't manifest it." I nod at the guy. Security rushes in at the commotion, and the nurse explains to them what happened and zip-tie Garaki's arms behind his back to keep him secure. I left the bones up because I wanted answers, meaning he wasn't going anywhere. "Why?" was all I asked as the nurse got me some water. It soothed the burn in my throat. "Why, what kid?" He looked at me. "Why did you like about my quirk status?" "What?" "Izuku Midoriya. Quirk. Quirkless. Diagnosed through X-ray, double toe joint. 6 years ago. You diagnosed me and my sister. Izumi Yagi. She has a powerful physical enhancement quirk. Why did you lie?" "I didn't. You are quirkless." I stare at him and snap my fingers to form a bone in the air and wiggly my finger in a circle. Doesn't appear to be that way. I frown at the gobsmacked look in his face. Something doesn't seem to add up. He thinks I really should be quirkless, so either the double-toe joint quirkless myth is actually true. The door opens and I'm knocked out of my musings. The bone I'm floating vanishes and I look to the door. The police are here. With them is a very familiar face. Uncle Tsukauchi. A smile forms across my face. Izuku, how are you? He asks, coming over. Oh, not too bad, about confused. Dr. Garaki seems to adamantly believe I'm quirkless. Yet those are my quirk-summoned bones around him. His eyes flicker to Garaki. Really, I'm most curious now. Garaki, why would you believe that he is quirkless when he's just a late bloomer? Garaki stays quiet. No need to answer. That's answer enough. You clearly have something you're hiding. Let's get him down to the precinct. Izuku, can you stand? He asks. I try and sit up and find it's quite difficult, but I've always been a little hard-headed, so I get to my feet, feeling much stronger. Yeah, I can move. I'll go get you some clothes, Mr. Midoriya. The ones you came in were basically shreds, but I'd like you to come back later today or tomorrow to get a checkup, just to make sure your body isn't pretending to be all right. The nurse walks out of the room, and I look for the calendar. How long? A year? I've been unconscious for a year. I burst out. You've what? I've been meeting up with your dad regularly, and he's not said a thing to me. Just that you must be busy, Tsukauchi asks, his tone sounding much more serious than I've heard in a while. We tend to talk every few months, catch up and all that. He knows of the bullying, but the only investigation he tried to do was shut down instantly, since not only was Izumi involved, but so was Shoto Todoroki, Endeavor's son. I kinda haven't spoken to Tashinori in years. I wince as his eyes turned thunderous. Tashinori is in a world of trouble. Let me guess. Because you were quirkless? His face turned understanding. Why? The nurse came in, and I eagerly grabbed my clothes, closing the curtain to change. I had to carefully undo the wrapping and pull out each needle carefully. I had like 5 in my right arm, which I hadn't noticed as I pulled the tube out of my mouth. I pull the curtain back and step out in some plain black shorts and a blue t-shirt with cheap shoes. The shoes were uncomfortable because of my pinky toes being a touch too long and being squeezed. Ready, I wince a bit. So where should I bill the fees to? The nurse asks. Tashinori Yagi, Medicare card number XXXXXXXX. I write it down. He has me and my sister using my mother's maiden name, and I hope I'm still on it. If it isn't, we can just bill his bank account. I nod and rush to follow Uncle Tsukauchi as he walks with the officers out of the building. They get in their cars and I realize that there's no room for me. I'll walk, be a good stretch of the legs, I told Uncle Tsukauchi when he asked. It's a 5-block walk, so I get started. And my legs veer off into the first alley I see to cut through to the next street. I come out and look around to see unfamiliar buildings. No way it was that long that all the businesses changed. I look right and see myself in the alley directly next to the station. What? I look back down the alley, and it looks different to the one I walked down. What the fuck? How the hell did I get here? After a minute, I just shrug and assume my mind edited the walk out of my memory and walk towards the door when I notice some cars pull up. And out comes Uncle Tsukauchi. Izuku, how'd you get here so quick? He asked, momentarily off guard. I think I teleported. I looked back into the alley in confusion. I tried taking a shortcut and wound up here. Whatever, we can figure that out another time. He turns away and Garaki is dragged from a different car into the station, his eyes bugging out when he sees me too. I enter the station, my mind spinning. What on earth is my quirk? I stand in the dark room behind a one-way mirror and watch Garaki sitting across from Uncle Tsukauchi. So, care to explain why you were about to inject a lethal dose of painkillers into an 11-year-old child? Uncle asks. Garaki says nothing. Come on, you were caught red-handed by 2 eyewitnesses. You had to have a reason? You've only met Mr. Midoriya once in the past, when you diagnosed him as quirkless. You can't hold me here, Garaki sighed. He's worried, but not scared, meaning he likely has someone who can get him out, I mutter. If he does, it's someone he knows definitely can. So why would he be worried? Come on, ask about my quirk, piss him off. That's definitely the thing he's worried about. What do you mean, kid? The officer beside me asks quietly. Garaki declared me quirkless based off my double-toe joint. That's considered a myth, but he adamantly believes that I should be quirkless. Meaning if it is a myth, the I had a quirk, one he must believe I no longer have. What? The guy grabs an earpiece and hands it to me. Repeat that to the detective. He can run off a few questions. I repeat my theory in its entirety, including what I saw in the hospital. So, if you aren't going to talk about why you were going to kill Mr. Midoriya, why do you think he's quirkless? How did you test him as a child? I gave him an x-ray. He has 2 joints in his pinky toe, Garaki answered. But isn't that theory, the double-jointed toe theory of a person having 2 joints being quirkless, a myth? Multiple studies have been shown where people with a double-toe joint have had a quirk. No, it's not a myth. Garaki spat, making Uncle's foot twitch under the table. They're just naysayers, disbelievers. That was a lie, the cop beside me mutters. So he definitely knows something. Hey, who started that theory? Garaki, I believe. Why? Well, what if he spread that theory on purpose? Garaki, you made that theory correct? Yes, so. Did you spread it so the quirkless you diagnose slipped through the cracks? Garaki's foot twitches. Bingo came from beside me. No, Uncle's foot twitches. Who do you work for? The hospital. Besides the hospital, who do you work for? Nobody. Twitch. Does this person you may or may not work for have a use for the people who you diagnose at quirkless? No. What about their quirks? I ask. Does this person you may or may not work for have a use for their quirks? No. Twitch. Uncle kept questioning Garaki for a while before making a subtle sign, as if he's irritated. He leaves the room and comes into the observation room. Okay, this is really bad. Izuku, we have to get you to UA. If I'm right in who Garaki works for, you need to be out of his grasp. Uncle looked pale. Are you okay? I asked, removing the earpiece. Definitely not. Sir, who do you think Garaki works for? The cop beside me asks. Level 0 classified. Go see the blanker we have on staff, Uncle Tsukachi ordered. Yes, sir. He left, looking pale himself. Let's go? We head outside and turn to the alley. You've been near UA, right? Uncle asks. Yeah. Remember any alleys near it? Yeah. Focused on the memory, the image of the alley, and hold on to me, he demands. I grab his hand. We move through the alley, and this time I notice how the alley changes subtly, becoming more dirty, a box to the side. We come out, and to the right was UA. Perfect, let's hurry. I could feel myself getting tense as we got closer to the gate. Similarly, Uncle was squeezing my hand tight, as if someone might try and grab me. It was only once we'd gotten to the gate and a camera looked at us, and the gate opened, and we were through that I breathed a sigh of relief. We were met by a small white animal that I couldn't identify wearing a suit. Tsukachi, how wonderful to see you, and you are. He turns to me. Nizu, this is Izuku, Tashinori's son. I suspect that All for One may have stolen his quirk as a child. Who's All for One? Nizu froze and tensed before staring at him. Come with me. We follow him through a series of confusing halls into what must be his office. He opens the wall and presses a code into a machine in the secret control panel. How sure are you? Nizu asks, turning to Tsukachi. Very sure. I believe I just spent hours questioning his quirk doctor who would be used to diagnose powerful quirks as quirkless to be stolen. How do you know this? We were called to the hospital where we found Izuku in a bed. Apparently, he's been in a coma the last year. Excuse me? Why wasn't I told? Nizu asks, a cup of tea in his hands. Where'd that come from? I only found out today. Anyways, Garaki was going to inject a lethal dose of painkillers into Izuku, who stopped him. Nurse called her boss, and he called me. The entire thing was explained in detail besides my powers. So why did you look so panicked on camera? Izuku has a quirk. Nizu turns to me, and I snap my fingers, a bone appearing. They can also come out of surfaces, and I can teleport as well as control these in the air so far. So far, I've only been doing this for a few hours. There's definitely more. Strange. Any ideas how you have a quirk? if we're really sure yours was taken. 1. I explain what happened while I was in my coma. So you saw something that you think is your soul? Nizu clarifies and I shake my head. I know, that was definitely my soul. And my powers definitely come from me grabbing it. Nizu looks at me for a moment before nodding. I've come to the same conclusion. I suggest you explore your abilities on campus. We got dorms a few years back so you can stay in those. And we'll have to figure out your education since obviously you can't just go back to public school. I can self-study. I've been doing it for years since nobody else really wanted to hang out with the quirkless kid. I shrug. Besides, I'm pretty sure I'm ahead of the rest of my current year level anyways. Oh, Nisa begins to smile. MHM, trigonometry isn't too hard, and I did that a while before the coma. Oh, right? How did you end up in a coma? Nizu asks, looking all business. It won't get anything to happen, Nizu. The one time I tried to start a case it got shut down, and my boss threatened my entire career, Uncle says, sitting in one of the chairs. I drop into the other as Nizu takes his place behind the desk. Yes, well, I'm not you now, and Tsukauchi. I got so much dirt on everyone that I basically ruled Japan, remember? Uncle shivers. Right? I forgot about that. On purpose since it gave me nightmares, he muttered. Shoto Todoroki, Katsuki Bakugo, and Izumi Yagi. Yagi? I ask. Izumi was a Midoriya. They changed her name on your birthday a month ago. Said she was sufficiently prepared to defend herself from villains if they attempted to kidnap her. I couldn't help it. I snorted. And if they wanted to kill her to break his spirit? I swear, the brain skipped those two and jumped right to me. I shake my head. We tried that approach, Nizu says while typing away at his computer. Okay, their records are spotless, though yours is filled with black spots, including the last year. Oh ho ho, these bastards don't know what they're dealing with. He cackles, making Uncle Tsukauchi tremble in fear. So Izuku, what dorms do you think you'd like to join? Nizu asks as he turns from the screen. Oh, I guess the first-year dorms? Since I'll have to move there when I start attending anyways. And what makes you so sure you'll be a student in 3 years' time? Because I know you'll make sure that I, with my soul-based powers, will be a student here. And I suspect you'll have me join 1A in class up to the day. I smirk at him. Correct. Nisa looked excited. This'll also let you experiment with your powers, see how they work, what they can do. I'll even see if I can't get you into the hero licensing exam. I want to see their faces. He cackles, likely imagining it now. I don't think Izuku could do that with so little Tim Dash. Uncle starts only for me to cut him off. I can do it. Nizu, if you can get me in that exam, I'll pass. I could feel my power flooding me, determination filling my body. Unbeknownst to me, my eyes change color and glow a light blue. Unbeknownst to me, my eyes change color and glow a light blue. But his scara is still white. I think I know how your power works, Izuku. How? I ask, my eyes changing back. Determination, your eyes just glowed blue. I suggest testing it in the mirror. Ooh, good idea. I still haven't seen if my face is as pale as the rest of my skin is now. I smile. Okay, so, you remember the way out? Nizu asks. Nope, but I'll just take a shortcut. Shortcut? Teleport. I doubt I need alleyways to use a shortcut. Ah, okay. Well, outside the front door we came in. If you turn left, you'll be following a path towards the dormitories. 1A should be the first you see. I nod. Will we be returning to the hospital for my checkup, or will it be done here? I ask. Recovery girl can do it fine, Nizu says. Now run along, Izuku. I get up and head out the door after saying bye. I turn down the hall and imagine the front door as I take a turn, coming out the door with an exuberant laugh. I can teleport. The smile stuck on my face the entire way to the dorms. Despite having come out of a coma, I'm not too upset. Besides feeling tired from all the sudden exercise, I'm actually quite energetic. These dorms are huge, I exclaim, coming in the door and looking at the high ceiling. Kid, where'd you come from? A blonde girl asks, having come out of what sleeps like the kitchen. My mom slips out of my mouth. For a moment I'm mortified, but then she lets out a small giggle. That was a good one, but really? Please tell me I don't need to give a teenage girl the talk? I wasn't expecting that for another 20 years. I roll my eyes and act exasperated. Another giggle. No, like, why are you here? You look a little young to be a student. I know, I'm 11. Also, I'll be living here and joining you in classes. But officially, I won't be a student. It's more because I manifested my quirk today after coming out of a coma, and Nisa thinks it's best I stay here while I experiment, mostly the truth, but with the all for one and my sister things being omitted. Still don't know who he is. Really? Strange, what's your quirk? Well, so far I can summon bones and teleport, and my eyes can glow if I'm determined to do something. Besides that, I don't know what I can do, though I can feel I can do more. I snap my fingers and a bone appears in the air beside me, which I control mentally. I make it fly over to her and go around her body before vanishing. For now, I need food, the whatever spare room there is, since I haven't had solid food in a year. My stomach loudly grumbles, and everything spun for a moment. Yeah, we can get you some food. My name's Yu Takayama. Izuku Midoriya. Nice to meet you. Over the next few years, I experimented with my powers and got used to physical exercise again. I found I have the most weird set of powers I'd ever heard of. I'd started a new notebook filled with my classmates' quirks and my own in the last page, going inwards in a cipher. Quirk: Energized Bones. Bones. I can summon bones of any size in the air or from any surface. They can be full bones or jagged, sharp bones. Weapon creation. I can summon weapons made of bone. Energize. I can passively add energy to my bones to strengthen them, making them near indestructible. Boost. My physical strength, speed, and durability are enhanced by my determination. Blue bones. I can summon blue bones that hurt people if they move. Orange bones. I can summon orange bones that hurt people if they don't move. Gaster Blaster. I can summon dragon-like skulls with glowing blue eyes that fire beams of energy and can come in 3 sizes. Small is human head size, medium is the size of a rhino head, and large is the size of All Might. Psychokinesis. I can move a person or object in any way using telekinesis that makes them glow blue. Judgment/Karma. This allows me to do continuous damage over time in comparison to a person's sins, as the person's own body tears itself apart if my eye is yellow or flickering yellow. Determination. As long as I have determination to achieve something, I can never run out of energy for my powers. ESP Field. I can sense people and objects within 100 meters of myself passively at all times, but I can boost it consciously to 1 kilometer. Shortcut. I can teleport anywhere I want as long as I either know the coordinates, can see or imagine the place, or there's a person I'm familiar with there. Drawback. If I'm not sufficiently determined to do something, the power needed to use my powers will drain my stamina. My stamina is not enhanced or affected by my determination aside from the drawback. Everyone was confused by my quirk and how I have infinite energy as long as I'm determined, but I just assumed that somehow my soul was converting my determination into energy somehow. Everyone accepted it since it made some sense. And I pulled the quirks make no sense card. But now that I've learned what my power can do, I can tell I've discovered everything. I've begun combat training. I mostly focus on dodging since my stamina is horrible. Increasing my stamina also means less chance of me being KO'd when I don't have enough determination. I do use my abilities in the fights and work as if I was part of the class, including the homework, simply because it's something to keep me entertained. I also gained a strong affinity for puns and jokes, simply because I found a drawback to my quirk. Being so strong without any villains to fight is boring. Which is bad, considering if I'm lazy, I'm not bothered with doing anything, which means I'm not determined. Oh, I pretend I'm lazy, spouting off puns and jokes while I'm just casually, lazily sitting or walking slowly. Underestimation. The year I'm to be a first year comes, and I watch in interest as the entrance exam plays out in the monitor. It was towards the end of the test when I saw something that had me teleport into the test site. I bend down and lift the rubble on the brown-haired girl and snap my fingers. Hey, big guy, I got a bone to pick with you. I call up to the robot. A Gaster Blaster forms behind me and charges up. I pick up the girl as a massive light blue beam of energy fired, outlining my form. I walk into the wally beside the building and come out in front of Recovery Girl as the Gaster Blaster disintegrated behind me. Broken ankle, I tell her as I put the girl down and walk into the alley. The girl stared at me till Recovery Girl got her attention. In the split instant she looked away, I returned to the observation room. Nobody had noticed my presence for about a minute. They were too busy staring at the monitor. So, what y'all all staring at? I asked. Everyone turned around so fast I was worried they broke their necks. What? Is there something on my face? Cause Tibia honest, you're creeping me out. Classes start up, and I learned who my classmates are and what they're like. But, because of my parents Bakugo and Izumi managed to escape prosecution, Todoroki's father saving him from prison. It was a close thing. Very close. Izumi was still blacklisted from UA, so I only have to be concerned about Bakugo and Todoroki. I did my best to play my skills down, something I told Aizawa I would do since I'm extremely overpowered. Combat class first week. I finished getting changed into my hero suit, a white shirt and blue zipper hoodie without strings. My pants are black sweats, and in all of this is ketchup bottles and supplies. Why? It thickens my look, makes me appear fatter than I am. Good to make my opponent underestimate me. Walking out of the tunnel, I stare in disgust at the sheer obviousness at how the class was dressed. Midoriya, why is your outfit so plain? I turn and see Yaoyorozu, who was almost flashing her breasts at me. Simple. I'm not one for the spotlight. But how are you meant to be noticed? Mina pouted. I don't want to be noticed. I'm leaving that up to those fuckers. I point at Bakugo and Todoroki. The two turn to look and I teleport into some shadows by a building. All Might arrived, making me grind my teeth. At least he won't recognize me. Ever since I first transformed, my changes continued to grow. My pale skin became bone white, hair becoming snow white, and just as soft. Many of the girls in the upper classes like to play with it. My eyes have a few stages when in or out of combat. When out of combat, and most of the time my eyes are green with a white scara, normal. But if they're blue, I'm using my powers with only slight amounts of determination, enough to power them. If they glimmer, then I'm feeling extremely determined. However, if I become enraged, large amounts of animosity will force my eyes to go pure black and absorb all light beyond a simple judgment. In combat, however, my eyes have a natural black scara. If I have a white pupil, I'm prepared to fight. Two glowing iris with black pupil, and I'm fighting, but without much effort. If my right eye goes out and my left is emitting raw energy, then my determination is fully running in my control, and I'm working hard to win. Same for if it's flickering yellow and blue, but I'm doing it for more of a judgment reason, taking judgment in my own hands as karma fills my blows. Karma is strange. I can actively use it myself, but if my opponent is particularly evil, a heavy sinner, I can access it and they'll become hurt as the fight progresses. Karma attacks acting like a parasite that hurts the host with every sin it encounters. Karma, perhaps the only ability I have constantly active at full power. It works with my ESP field, and if I sense someone with a certain amount of sins they've not paid for, I can see it. Literally, I see every soul. The more darkness filling it, the more sins they've committed that hasn't been repaid. But their eyes is what makes this power specifically creepy. I can get a sense for how much someone's willing to kill. There are 20 levels, each one making the eye sharper, the scare darker. At 15 to 20, their pupils glow red to me. Bakugo and Todoroki are at level 9 and 7 respectively. Todoroki wanted to kill me because Izumi wanted it. He's mostly apathetic. Bakugo, however, is willing to kill me, but he's not so stupid as to just do it. The rooftop was secluded, at a place nobody would think twice about explosions, and nobody cared for a quirkless runt there. The class's souls match what little I know of them. 1. Mizo Shoji, patience. 2. Koji Koda, kindness. 3. Rikido Sato, bravery. 4. Tinya Ida, integrity. 5. Hanta Siro, perseverance. 6. Shoto Todoroki, apathy. 7. Momo Yaoyorozu, justice. 8. Katsuki Bakugo, determination. 9. Eijiro Kirishima, determination. 10. Mashireo Ojiro, Justice. 11. Yuga Aoyama, Patience. 12. Denki Kaminari, Perseverance. 14. Mina Ishido, Bravery. 15. Fumikage Tokoyami, Determination. 16. Achiko Uraraka, Bravery. 17. Hyokujiro, Perseverance. 18. Toru Hagakure, Kindness. 19. Siu Ajui, Kindness. 20. Minoru Mineta, Cowardice. Yeah, good crop this year. Last year Aizawa's class was full of corruption, apathy, animosity, and dishonesty students. A single perseverance student in there. He was kept around but bundled into 1B. But now with our teacher here, finally, we can get started. I focused back on the class just as people started grabbing balls from the boxes in some kind of mystery team-up thing. Collecting mine, I see I'm with Uraraka. Great work. Now I will pick 2 balls at a time to signal who will go against who. All Might declared loudly. And in front of everyone he started pulling out balls. Team A versus Team E. I turned to look at Bakugo and Ida, the former grinning maniacally and the latter well. I can't see his face in that idiotic helmet of his. His engines means he's a speed type, so why does he need such heavy armor? Training perhaps? The pair wandered into the building with their bomb, while Uraraka and I met up at the door. Do you have a plan? Uraraka asked. Yeah, Bakugo's going to focus me, so when he does you go on ahead, I'll ketchup. I took a draw of ketchup. She just stared at me annoyed. Now isn't the time for puns. Really? I thought it was humorous. No. Your funeral. Begin. All Might called. I snap my fingers, eyes going dark as I step in first. I ignore Uraraka's gasp, instead focusing on Bakugo as he moved through the halls down to us. Uraraka, that stairwell 3rd floor, right side of the building has the bomb. I state bored. Get going cause Bakugo's almost here. Nothing more was needed as she rushed up the stairs in her teeny little astronaut heels. Bakugo came around the corner and I grin. Hello Bakugo, ready to have a bad time? I ask. Shut up and die. He punched at me. I catch the right hook and shoulder toss him, hopping back. Oh Bakugo, you know, it's a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing, flowers are blooming, kids like you should be burning in hell. With a snap of my fingers, all light in the hall faded into black and color vanished from our bodies. In front of us, 2 hearts formed, his red right way up heart, and my upside down white heart. What the fuck are you doing, freak? He demanded as I relax, hands in my pockets. The ground underneath him crackles, and he barely blasted himself from the ground to dodge the bones hat suddenly blasted up. I kept on the attack, the same bones leaping from the ground and shooting at him. An explosion and duck got Bakugo out of the way. Best watch your step, kid, else you might get boned. I grin, more bones forming around me and launching at him. He barely managed to slip through them, blasting at me. He looked over me, a grin of victory on his face even as an explosion sparked in his palm. I vanished from view, spinning to the right and evading the blast. Instead, a massive bone shot from the ground at him and caught him in the chest, sending him back down the hall. I really hate your types, you know. I grinned nastier as he climbed to his feet, fully aware the entire class could hear me through the earpiece. One of my abilities allows me to see a person's sins. Do you know how many I see when I look at you? Die, he shouted, unleashing a powerful blast at me. I block it with a bone wall I send at him. Like your previous victim? That made his movements freeze for a split moment. Yeah, that's right. I can see the sun of murder on your soul. It disgusts me that UA was forced to allow you in. Die, you fucking freak. He pulled his bracer arm back, revealing a small pin. Bakugo, don't. You'll kill him, All Might shouted. Not if he dodges, he pulled the pin. I don't bother, just making another wall, while adding sides to put me in a box with an open back. The explosion, while powerful and effective, went directly over me. With the smoke filling the room, I hear Uraraka. Midoriya, I'm here. What do I do? She asked, whispering. I vanish my bones, instead using a bunch of blue bones to trap Bakugo and teleport up to her, behind her, and out of a camera's view. Let's handle him then, she squeaked and spun. Where the hell did you come from? She hissed. Downstairs, I drawl. I walk past her into the bomb room. Ida came at me, and I duck. Then summon a bone I used to hit him into a wall, instead trapping him in place with V-shaped bone protrusions. I touch the bomb and dispel the bones I still have active, and snap my fingers as the battle area downstairs faded, and my eyes returned to normal. To be honest, I expected more from UA students. I sigh and drink some ketchup. Red, determination. The pure will to live / unyielding hope / refusal to accept fate. Encompasses hope and spite. Strengths. Never gives up, makes their dreams come true. Weaknesses. Doesn't know when to quit, bad at self-awareness. Flaw. Apathy, scientifically. Hopelessness / despair, casually. The lack of will to live and lack of interest in change. Abilities. Determination knife. Form red knives made from raw determination that can emit a red slash of determination energy or multiple that can be telekinetically controlled. Determination shield. Form a red semi-transparent barrier of determination energy. The stronger the determination, the tougher the shield. Reset. A human with a determination soul can, upon death, reset and move to a new timeline where they can change the outcome that caused them to die. They can go to any point in their life while keeping all of their skills, memories, and knowledge intact. Refusal. Through sheer determination, a being can force their body and soul to stay together while a new healing factor repairs their injuries. The determination can either be taken from within or from others. There are 4 requirements in order to do this. The being must have a great deal of magic. The being's soul must be attuned to determination or have determination be a close second in terms of virtue, and have a reason beyond self-preservation to continue living. An unwavering purpose. At least one unbreakable bond with someone who wants you to live. Orange, bravery. The will to leap into action despite overwhelming fear. It is theorized that liquid bravery looks like glowing beer. Strengths. Fear just makes them fight harder, boldly speaks their mind. Weaknesses. Prone to anger, bad at being discreet. Flaw. Discretion, not getting into a dangerous situation. Essentially cowardice. Abilities. Bravery is the core component in fire magic and orange attacks. Bullet time. Physical enhancement. Strength / durability. Yellow justice. The will to know what is right and wrong and to fight for it. Strengths. Unafraid of hard work, powerful sense of morality. Weaknesses. Can become self-righteous, slow to forgive others and themselves. Flaw. Mercy. Justice can become vengeance if the concentration is too high. Abilities. Justice is a core component in lightning, precision, speed, and rapid-fire damage spells. Judgment gaze. Allows the soul to instantly know if someone is lying or is harboring ill intent. Judgment blast. Shoot a blast of yellow energy that will hurt someone more equal to the amount of sin they've committed. Green, kindness. The will to forgive and show mercy to those who hurt you. Strengths. A natural caregiver, puts the needs of others ahead of their own. Weaknesses. Often forgets their own needs, prone to spreading themselves too thin. Flaw. Self-esteem, taking care of your own needs ahead of the needs of others. Abilities. Kindness is a core component in boosting, plant, and healing spells. Cure-all. Kindness can heal any wound, whether it be physical or psychological. Psychological healing requires daily applications. Should this be used on a human, lower doses should be administered so as not to risk killing the human from magic overload, which would be roughly as effective as Prozac. This effectiveness of healing mental states is increased by your understanding of the pain of others and can be used on the caster themselves. A Yandra, for example, is a soul of kindness that is deficient in justice and integrity. That said, kindness is humanity's rarest trait. Kindness shield. Form a nigh impenetrable green shield that protects others. Cyan, patience. The will to wait for the right moment to strike. Strengths. Waits for the perfect moment to strike, an observant gatherer of information. Weaknesses. Bad at improvising, the perfect moment may never come. Flaw. Boldness. When you stop waiting and simply do something. Abilities. Patience is a core component in ice magic blue attacks, and spells relating to calm and stillness. Astral projection. Time dilation. Slow down or speed up time around one's immediate area. More patience equals more dilation. Blue integrity. The will to know who you are and remain true to it. Strengths. Unashamed to be themselves. Encourages others to be their best selves as well. Weaknesses. Slow to self-improvement, prone to arrogance. Flaw. Flexibility. Willingness to change who you are as a person. Abilities. Integrity is a core component in water, gravity, momentum, and flow magic. Telekinesis. Energy tendrils. Purple. Perseverance. The will to endure hardships and use those hardships to your advantage. Strengths. Always learning and adapting. Failure makes them stronger. Weaknesses. Prone to overthinking, can become too fixated on a particular problem. Flaw. Humility. Perseverance can become pride, and humility keeps it in check. Abilities. Perseverance is a core component in spells that focus on reducing incoming damage. Polymorph. Weakening beam. The more persevering, the higher the damage reduction in fractions. Between full. It differs from determination in that perseverance souls adapt, while determination souls dig in their heels. If a soul is overloaded with perseverance, their behavior will change to adapt to their present circumstances. Determination. Determination is a trait that only Temmis possess and appears like an iridescent rainbow to an observer. Abilities. All of the previously listed and more. After my fight against Bakugo and subsequent vanishing to the third floor, nobody understood. Everyone clamored around me demanding answers. I didn't answer anyone, leaning against the wall, eyes closed. Midoriya, why did you say all of those things? About Bakugo's sins? Yaoyorozu demanded. Why lie about such things? A silence fell over the room as I turned my head towards her. Lie? I asked softly. I have no need to lie. I gain nothing from it. I derive no pleasure, no joy from lies. We have a murderer in our class. So I said so. Stop talking out of your ass, Midoriya. We just want answers, Zero called. Answers you won't get. You should answer them, my bo dash. I spin around and open my eyes to glare at All Might, eyes glowing brightly. Don't call me that. I growl, my voice doubling over itself. I calm myself with a deep breath. I won't be answering any questions I don't want to. Nizu knows many of the answers and many of my secrets. Take it up with him if you're so sure you have to know. I relax against the wall, falling asleep upright. The next week passes with only 2 things to note. A break-in on Wednesday by the media, and I felt someone reeking of sin break in, but were gone by the time I got there. They'd not been in the building for more than a minute. And a meeting with Nizu. You wanted to see me, Nizu? I ask, not knocking as I collapse into a chair. Why, yes. See, I've recently made a new staff position and I want to offer it to you. He smiled and sipped that tea of his, filled with a number of pills to handle his psycho-killer tendencies. Name, rules, and description. You a judge. You'd basically become the judge for any cases where the student wants to appeal a punishment of a certain severity, say a week of detentions or expulsion. You'd be the judge that years them out, listens to the teacher's reasoning, and views any evidence needed to come to a verdict. Why me? Your judgment gaze, of course. And you're sufficiently skilled enough to graduate and beat everyone on staff if you get serious, meaning if things get violent with trigger or such you can handle it. He smiled and pushed across some papers I take. Looking through 10, they were pictures and schematics of a large elaborate hall. I was thinking this could be your judgment hall, so to speak. How often does a student try to appeal? Oh, a few times a week. Aizawa usually handles it, but his underground work is getting more difficult, and I felt it would be best if someone else took over that. But besides Cementos, nobody we have in staff is actually calm and rational enough for it. Each has morals and values that don't quite fit. While I am rather lazy, don't care about their connections, money, have basic morals and simple values. And I don't get angry often, I finish. I note that behind the hall was what appears to be an escape tunnel and a smaller offshoot to an evac bunker. Correct, are you in? Sure. At least I'll have a place to do my homework where my class won't really find me. Oh no, you won't have homework. I tutored you myself. I know exactly how smart you are. Cool. Bunkers for the students, right? Yes, and only in evacuation or appeal situations the hall will be completely out of bounds for students. Aight. I'm in. I yawn as I hand the papers back. Under the support course, right? Yes, it'll be done by the end of the week. I nod and left. On the bus to the USJ as our second heroics class, rescue training, I nap, bored. On arrival, I stare at the building. Midoriya? Aizawa asked. What is it? I don't know, I answer. That's not true. I'm feeling a lot of LOV from the building. But that shouldn't be possible. We entered and I frown. My eyes go dark as I look around. Aizawa. Bogies in the plaza. I called, staring at the black and purple cloud that formed even as I'd watched. Number. Can't tell. My ESP don't work through gates. All I can say. I can feel a skill ton of hate and LOV from it. Fuck. 13, you know what to do. Aizawa leapt down and I take a seat at the top of the stairs. All right, everyone. Evacuate the building now. A number of villains begin to walk out of the gate, entering combat with Aizawa. Here and there I form a bone or two to trip someone up. The portal formed a figure in a butler suit next to two people. A tall, muscular bird-headed thing with no soul and a hand-covered villain with a black hate soul. I vanished from view before they could see me, instead taking a spot in some bushes and watching them. Aizawa beat all of the villains and stood before the trio. Who are you? He demanded. Us? We're the League of Villains. Nomu. Kill Eraserhead, hand guy ordered. Faster than I could process, the big guy vanished from his position and had Aizawa on the ground, snapping a few bones in the process. Aizawa's scream got me up and walking into view from behind the fountain. Realistically, I shouldn't have fit back there, but shortcut. You should really show mercy to others, buddy, else you're in for a bad time. I grin at them. Who the fuck are you? He demanded. Me? Not important. What is important, however, is that you need to learn how to show mercy. Mercy is for the weak. He shouted. Nomu, kill the boy. I sigh and snap my fingers, bones shooting through the Noma's skull. Weak. You killed my Nomo. You Chester that was meant to kill All Might. He shouted and charged me. AI. Another snap sprouted a blue bone square around him. Patience, young bone. No need to lose your temper over a little soulless husk like that. I jerk my thumb at it. You show too much spine for your skill level. Bone, too much spine? You're making pins at a time like this? He demanded. Yes, it's punny. Anyways, leave or you're gonna have a bad time. Blue eyes stared into the man-child's eyes. Kirojiri, he demanded. A portal formed underneath him and he reappeared on my left, swinging his palm at me. I duck, snapping my fingers as I summon a bone. It grew and impacted his nuts and launched him backwards into a flip. He vanished into a portal and I turned to the foggy Kirojiri. You know not of what you've done today, he warned. Maybe not, but it was humorous. I grin as he vanished. Then I lifted Aizawa onto a bone-made platform that I floated beside me back to the main doors. A man-child and a multi-quirked bioengineered creature? Nizu asked with a frown. Must be all for one. But if he had this thing before he died, why didn't he use it? Maybe he didn't die? I suggest. All Might crushed his head in his palms. I watched his brain matter run through All Might's fingers. You don't get much deader than that, he countered. Decoy? Realistic clone? A second brain somewhere in his body. With as many quirks as the fucker has, I wouldn't be surprised if he just had so many regeneration quirks that he can't die by conventional means. I list a few ways to avoid it. Hell, in his final moments, he could have swapped places with a genetic duplicate he'd prepared. Right? I'll have to think on this a bit more, he frowned, looking pensive. How is you class handling it? My classmates had been warped to the other zones in the USJ the moment they'd all gotten outside. Some almost died. Precariously. Bakugo and Todoroki aren't rankled at all, but the softer ones like Azui and Koda are very shaken. Can't tell with many others since Hei seemed to be hiding it fairly well. I report, frowning as I try and figure it out. I think. An obligatory session with Hound Dog Monday. just so he can get a stronger read. I concur. I'll let him and Aizawa know of this. What do you plan this weekend? He asked, curious as he tapped at his keyboard. Napping. Not training. Nope. The villains did evade you, though. I let them. I roll my eyes. I had to look after Aizawa and the class. I didn't know if they'd try to use them as some kind of hostage or not. Let them. The man-child had hate, but his LOV was only at 6. He'd definitely kill someone with a good enough reason, but he's not quite at a murder everyone point yet. Some may counter this, but I genuinely don't think at this point he's killed many. Angry and willing to kill perhaps, but he usually has to hate them to do so. His soul is a hate soul. But right now in terms of Undertale, he'd be more of a neutral route Frisk. But he isn't Frisk in this. Yet. You believe he'll reach that stage? He's a man-child after all. Once he's suffered enough setbacks, lost, and matured, he'll get to it. I look out the window, my ever-present grin fading slightly. Besides, I made a promise against my better judgment, not to just assume that someone can't change. Maybe he'll realize being the villain isn't a good choice. Maybe he'll keep going. He's in a neutral antagonistic state right now. Nizu nodded, likely remembering the 3 categories I tend to categorize villains. Pacifist. Neutral. Genocidal. Pacifists are those that are low-level thugs or villains because they don't have another choice, whether quirk or home life, financial status, or otherwise. Neutral are those that aren't either of the 2 paths, but has an equal chance to be either. Genocidal are those like All for One, Moonfish, Muscular, and such. High-level murderers for fun, food, or other. Right now that hand guy is in a neutral route as the antagonist. He's following the teachings of All for One. He can still shook off everything he's been taught, but it's likely he'll fall into the genocidal route. I hope he doesn't choose genocide if he does well. With that decay, quirk, I'm going to have to ask that you end it. Efficiently. Of course. Now I'm going to go sit in the hall and listen to some tunes. Need anything? Call me up. I teleport into the hall, a white wall made from my bones forming to hide me from view. Nobody will know my name, face, or quirk. Just see the white bar wall and hear me. Thump, thump, thump. Ah, another appeal. The weeks pass till the sport festival, and I stay in the hall, training on my own, stamina, strength, toughening my skin. As long as I'm determined enough, my bones harden equally. It takes the equivalent of a truck slamming into me to even fracture my bones when my eyes are blue. And it only grows exponentially. The sports festival. I listen with boredom as Midnight was announced to be the referee of the day. I can already feel the filthy males around me growing hard as she walked on stage. She's gorgeous, a total MILF, don't get me wrong, but firstly, I'm not into her, and secondly, she's lesbian. It's why she takes on this role. It doesn't actually affect her all that much since she's not interested in guys anyways. She and 13 have a pretty nice thing going on though. I just hate how desperate the men are. And for our student pledge, we have the top scorer in the entrance exam, Bakugo Katsuki. Midnight called. Oh great, how's he going to insult everyone? I glower as the boy as he walked up the stairs of the platform. I pledge to win and beat every loser here. And there it is. The crowd was in an uproar and yelling was coming from the classes. Screams, insults, threats, and challenges. Bakugo just sticks his thumb down at everyone. Welp, gotta give credit where it's due. He's got balls of steel, I grouse. Soon everyone was lining up for the first event, an obstacle race. Lots of movement. Hard pass. I yawn, and a few 1B students glared at me. Are you sure you even want to be a hero? Some purple-haired kid demanded. Yep. Time started to count down. 3, 2, 1, go. Everyone rushed into the tunnel, then ice covered everyone's feet. Hey, that's not fair. Genius play by Todoroki Shoto, folks. The son of Endeavor catches his competitors off guard and traps and ice them to gain a lead. Present Mike shouted. I snapped my fingers, bones shooting from the ground to shatter the ice. Too bad, so sad, Todoroki. I grin as I mentally see Todoroki's anger. What's this? Midoriya Izuku breaks the ice and frees everyone in one action. I walk into the tunnel and sit down out of sight with a clear view of the giant TV, allowing the crowd to watch the frontrunners. Half an hour, I guess. My eyes close as I take a nap. I'm woken by screams and look out to see 10 people had passed. I wait for the next 20 before teleporting into the other tunnel to walk into the stadium, claiming myself 34th. Next was a cavalry battle. I summon a large bone and sit on it, yawning. Once we'd started, I watched the top 3 begin duking it out for the 10,000-point band with a grin. Idiots. Should I draw attention to myself? I asked my belly. It growled slightly. Good point. No need to bring eyes on myself. I idly summon bands to me from low-ranked teams, gaining about 440 points. I sit in a comfortable third and fly around, drowsiness making my path random. They needed to let kids from another team join since I flew on my own. I was the first fight. After a long break for water and food, I found myself on the edge of the arena facing that purple hair guy. You got this far? How? He frowned at me. I almost answered before I saw the little grin he had. He almost caught me in his quirk. Begin. Midnight called. I snapped my fingers, making bones form behind me that I sent at him. He dodged them. Barely. I sent more, letting the old ones fizzle out, this time in a random pattern, and tricking him into tiring himself out. With a snap, I summoned a long bone that shot from the ground, knocking him back off his feet and out of the arena. Midoriya, how come you aren't trying? Yaoyorozu demanded loudly. So you not know how important the sports festival is? I ignore her, eyes closed. Midoriya. Midoriya. She hit me on the shoulder, and I summon a bone to sprout, just stopping right underneath the soft skin of her jaw. Don't bother me, Yaoyorozu. Use your skull and figure it out, I say calmly before dispelling the bone. You should be trying harder to win though, Midori. Yamamo's right. You aren't trying hard enough. You could lose your place in the hero course. I sincerely doubt that. I know things you don't. Now let me rest. I need sleep. I do wish that I could pay more focus, but I can't for a few reasons. My magic, naturally cyan, represents a soul of patience, though I think I had dual soul traits when I was alive, determination and patience. But because my magic is blue, I literally cannot muster the energy required to do anything of unimportance until the right time. However, I can cheat this with my determination. Secondly, this whole festival gives the villains all of our tricks. I'm not even letting my Dan class know about more than my basic bones, even if I used blue bones a few times since the start of the year. Unless I can infinitely muster up the energy to continuously make new tricks on the fly, I can't afford to do much publicly. Especially with the League of Villains snooping about this year. The USJ was merely the beginning. Over the course of the next 2 hours, I watch as my classmates show off the most complicated, powerful, and effective tricks they've discovered. It was mind-boggling how trusting they have of the public. I meanwhile used the same type of trick each time, white bones from behind my back. Semifinals was me against a black horse I've not seen before today. She was interesting. But something's been nagging me about her, on the tip of my tongue, but I just can't figure it out. You feel familiar to me, I say with a soft frown. Have we met? Her ever-closed eyes move back and forth. No, but you feel familiar too. She seemed confused as well. Midoriya Izuku. Ready? Midnight called. Ready. I nod, forming a bone staff in my hands, something new. Dreamer Frisk. Ready? Dreamer. Now why does that feel familiar? Ready. She nodded, her right arm shooting out and forming a knife. A knife made from determination. You can use your determination, I grin. This might be interesting. Her eyes actually opened from shock, and I saw a pair of beautiful eyes. A beautiful deep red of rubies with a backlit glow from determination. Her pupils were golden stars. What happened next was confusing. A memory flashes through my mind. Her, my judgment hall, and a normal knife. Her eyes shut, but she wore a blue and pink shirt and a golden heart locket. She seemed worried? No. She was terrified, but not of me. Then she lost her fear, flickering into a girl with red circle cheeks, a green and yellow shirt on, and a crazed grin on her face. Then it ended. Suddenly my mouth began to move, and I felt my eyes darken. It's a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing, flowers are blooming. On days like this, her eyes shrunk in terror, glassing over as she no doubt had a memory hung too. Girls like Chara should be burning in hell. My eyes glow. Go, Midnight called, looking confused but ignoring the strangeness of my words. Frisk closed her eyes again and attacked. I ducked the first trio of slashes, duck, move right, and hop over the third. In retaliation, I clubbed her across the face with one end of my bone, with a fierceness that surprised me as instead a memory of her being stabbed through appeared. She spun through with the attack and almost gut me with a back slice that would have cut me shoulder to hip. I blur as I rush around her, moving to a distance and lifting my left hand. Ground under her cracked, and bones shot out. It didn't surprise me as she evaded them with unnerving ease, like this was something she'd done 100 times before. With a gesture, I sent a wave of bones at her, but she weaved between the bones, knife slicing one down the middle. We continued to feel each other out, feeling an immense level of combat power and experience behind the other. However, I don't move above summoning bones in the air or ground. Likewise, she didn't move past slashes or stabs, spinning her body in dizzying movements. After a good 10 minutes, I caught her by surprise by stomping at her foot as it lowered and flipped her on her back midair. A spin kick to her side almost sent her out of the arena, if she hadn't used her knife as an anchor. We need to talk, I tell her before turning to Midnight. I forfeit, got nothing left. Well, Dreamer wins, Midnight declared. The stadium screamed, and I lifted Frisk up. You're up against Bakugo next. He will try to do as much damage as he possibly can, I say quietly, hidden under the roar of the stadium. He's nearly killed me before, but failed. You have to hit hard and fast. The more he sweats, the stronger his explosions get. I slip a paper with my phone number on it to her and walk away. I took a seat in the stands and leaned back. Why the hell did you forfeit? You had her on the ropes, Kaminari demanded. I got bored, I lie. This is a competition. You're supposed to win, Kaminari shouted. And I got bone tired. Why try when I've shown enough of my skills? I query. I've done what the sports festival was meant to be about. I don't care about no shiny medals. Ketchup's enough for me. That said, I don't nap, concentrating on the fight. To say it was an upset would be an understatement. Bakugo's steamrolled his competition all day, and suddenly he's utterly obliterated. Frisk used a determination shield against his explosions and swung so fast that a dozen red slashes caught Bakugo off guard, the slashes knocking him off balance and throwing her shield while he was stabilizing got him to hit the ground. Outside the arena, at a girl, my grin widened. With gold, Frisk got first, Bakugo got second, and I got third tied with Ida, who surprisingly wasn't there for it. That night I got a message. Unknown Midoriya? It's Frisk. You changed Unknown's name to Frisk. This is Midoriya. Frisk changed your name to Sans. Sans, touché. We need to talk about these memories and why I want to pull you close. Frisk, I believe I have somewhat of an answer. My quirk allows me to jump back in time to a certain point upon death. Or rather, I believe I send my memories sideways through time streams. I frown. That would make sense. Sans, and you think these memories may be our alternate selves? Frisk, it's the most logical reason. Because in my memories you are a literal skeleton. Sans, true, but we've only seen glimpses. We need to see. Sans more. Frisk agreed. These only started the moment we met face to face, and contact caused entire chunks to come back. Frisk, what if we touch each other's soul? I almost immediately sent back a hell no. Sans, I'm against it, but perhaps that's the fastest way. I'm not willing to wait months to remember this stuff. Frisk, ditto. I should move this to some lighter subjects. Sans, I'm in Class A. You? Frisk, Class C. What's your favorite color? Sans, purple or red? Frisk, red? Haha, I would have expected blue. Sans, Relatively new change. I remember her eyes. Beautiful. A blue blush crossed my face as I thought of her eyes. We didn't get around to meeting up Phil about a week after internships, during which I had to save Ida from stain. Pretty simple to do with psychokinesis and a fair amount of shadows at night. I'd gone with Nizu, who just let me have a week dealing with paperwork. Good training for my determination and psychokinesis. But before internships, we'd done something very important. Hero names. Flashback. I nap in class, bored and sleepy. I've been kept up the past few nights since meeting Frisk in the festival with horrifying images of her killing me or me killing her. All right, class. Today we're doing something vital to your future as pro heroes, Aizawa said, walking in. Code names. Whoa. Hell yeah. Fucking finally. 3 guesses who said that. Enough. Aizawa used his quirk on everyone and they quieted down. Now, I have someone else here to handle this since I'm too tired to deal with you brats. Mood. I snort, getting a rare smile from Aizawa. All right, everyone. I'm here to make sure you have proper hero names. Midnight declared as she walked into the room. Oh God, I can already feel the masculine lust growing. The class slowly began trickling up to the front of the room and showing off their name ideas. Bakugo, of course, went overboard villainous. Almighty explosion murder god, he declared. I couldn't even bring myself to laugh like the rest of the class who thought he was joking because I knew he was all too serious. Denied. Fuck you, old hag, he shouted. Deciding to head off the coming argument, I walked up to the front of the class and showed off my one. It was a name that had appeared in every memory referring to myself and felt right. Sans, the Judgment Hero. Denied. Judgment Hero is already taken. Fine. Sans, the Karmic Judgment Hero, I emphasize. Approved, she said. I returned to my napping. Sitting in the judgment hall, I finish up the last bit of paperwork Nizu gave me just as the door creaked open. An ESP glance let me know it was Frisk, so I walked out, dispelling the bone wall. Frisk, I nod. Ready for this? Ready as I'll ever be, she shrugged. Eyes as ever closed as usual, and her soul appears in front of her. With a thought my own did the same. We approached one another, stopping right before our souls brushed together. In unison and on an unspoken command, we reached forward, pressing a single finger against the other's soul. Suddenly memories flooded me. Happy memories, sad memories, anger, grief, hope, and love. We gasped, collapsing to the ground in agony as our memories rapidly create new synapses and pathways through our minds. Thousands upon thousands of resets, numerous ways where either has gone insane and become some monster. Dust Sans. Horror Sans. Killer Sans. Chara. The variations as we moved sideways through timelines, Frisk as a girl, boy, monster, and I the human. Centuries of continuous combat, pacifist, neutral, and genocides running through my mind. It hurts. My arm reaches out blindly, and I grab Frisk, pulling her close to me even as my eyes burn with tears for the many, many timelines I saw Papyrus die. Sans, she cried into my shoulder. Frisk, I can't begin to understand the violating feeling of Chara forcefully controlling me. Killer me willingly merged souls with her, but none of the others ever dealt with her. It took hours before we were able to stand, heads aching and muscles burning as we got millions of muscle memory patterns etched into us. You have skin, muscle, she spoke first, leaning against my chest up against a pillar. And you too. What about Chara? Not in here, a sigh of relief slipped out. The overwrite worked. Overwrite, a power we got from our extale selves, and one we used exactly once together in a pacifist route. To activate a continuous override erasure of all evil Charis in any timeline we ended up in. We didn't believe a single overwrite would be enough. Those attempts usually sent us into a timeline where Chara was the royal judge and I the king or human. So we did it together. We are free. Finally, I kiss Frisk, joy swelling within me. Her response was just as joyful. We will never face a cruel Chara again, but never will we forget them either. I took a look at the time and sighed. 5 o'clock. You have to get back before curfew, I tell her regretfully. Come with me. I don't want to be alone. My lips upturn in a small, fine smile as I heave us up. You're a bona fide genius, my dear. Frisk giggled, and I took us through a shortcut, coming out in front of the 1C dorms. We slipped in and up the stairs silent as the night that was creeping in. In her room, I stripped my top half off and lay in her bed, waiting. She came out, in oh so familiar pajamas. Scooching over, I let her slip into bed beside me, pulling her back against me. Scooching over, I let her slip into bed beside me, pulling her back against me. After so long of missing something I never knew I was missing, I feel complete. The weeks leading up to the end of term were filled with dates, training, and school. Unfortunately, Frisk refused to allow herself much rest time, which upset me. But knowing her as I did, I capitalized on it all by literally dragging her out on dates. She didn't need to be stronger, just a habit born out of a long time of desperate need to gain power in case she had to fight Chara. There was exactly one time that they fought one another. Chara was on a throne and Frisk had my magic. It was technically in their own mind, but Frisk did show me the memory once. Trippy as hell, and equally sadistic. I tutored Frisk on what the hero course was doing and had done since I know she'll be moving up to the hero course next term, especially after her sheer skill shown in the festival. Finally, the finals arrived and I lagged behind everyone in boredom. Even I don't know what the exams are going to be. Class B tried to trick us into thinking it was robots, but I knew better. Why repeat the entrance exams when we've only gotten better? All right, everyone, I'm sure you're all wondering about the final exams for the term. Aizawa started. Not really. We found out from Class B that it's robots. Kaminari just had to open his stupid mouth. I facepalm. What an idiot. I snapped my fingers and a bone appeared to slap Kaminari up the head. Ow. Midoriya. Get your act together, idiot. And actually think. Nobody really believes we're just redoing the entrance exam. That would be stupid. My personal student is correct. Nizu suddenly shot out of Aizawa's scarf, the sleep-deprived hero not even being fazed at the absurdity of the event. Redoing the entrance exam, while letting us see how much stronger you've gotten, would not be a challenge for you all. No, you will be facing the teachers. Huh. It was Yaoyorozu who asked that, and I don't think she registered that she'd done it. They will be wearing weights to restrict their movements, and the goals will be almost identical to the first combat training class you all had. But instead of the objective being a bomb, it's the exit gate, where you can cuff your teachers. I'll read out the pairings against each teacher now. Team Sato and Kirishima versus Cementos. Team Azui and Tokoyami versus Ectoplasm. Team Ida and Ojiro versus Power Loader. Team Todoroki and Yaoyorozu versus Eraserhead. Team Uraraka and Aoyama versus 13. Team Ishido and Kaminari versus Nizu. Team Koda and Jiro versus Present Mike. Team Hagakure and Shoji versus Snipe. Team Mineta and Siro versus Midnight. Team Midoriya and Bakugo versus All Might. I dash. This is a joke, right? I demand. There's no fucking way he'd team up with me. Fuck you, I don't need some lazy ass to win this stupid fight. Bakugo shouted at me. All Might specifically requested this matchup. He seems to believe that you two will make a great team. I could hear the sarcasm from Aizawa even without looking at him. Then I won't be held accountable if I kill the symbol of peace. I utter, eyes turning to black pits. Excuse me? How on earth do you think you could kill All Might? He's basically a god. Kill a god, you become a god. I quote, and add my own belief to it. Make God bleed, and everyone stops believing in him. All Might is no good, just a very durable human. And with that little bit of wisdom, I stepped on my bus and took a nap. Ours will be the final fight, and I'm not all that interested in watching the others. Instead, I walk my mindscape, wondering what I can gift my Frisk for our billionth timeline. It would have to be important. I've learned a huge amount of tricks and secrets over the many timelines. One should be useful. The bus shakes me out of my sleep as it stopped, and I stepped off after Bakugo. We'll need a plan, I say, disgusted I have to work with Bakugo. But even if they did try to, and succeed in killing me, if only for a moment. I want to be a hero. He'll get his due one day. Fuck that, I'll win without your shitty powers. He shouted, rage filling his voice. I beat you first week, and I barely tried. You need to learn to use the abilities of those around you. I retort, just as angry. You can't beat him on your own. I can and I will. Just watch me, you stupid comedian. He roared, swinging his bracer around at me, but I dodge it. Instead, I form a slanted wall of bones as a massive air wave completely obliterated the street around us, leaving us on the only piece of tarmac and every building around missing its front. Still think you can beat him? I asked Bakugo, lowering the bones to show the devastation. One long-range punch. What if he hit you with that directly? Tsh. He blasted forward, but All Might appeared out of nowhere and gut punches him. He hit the ground with a pained gasp, the spit flying from his mouth. Wide open in shock was a beautiful moment I immediately memorized. 2 heroes for me? This'll be fun. All Might grinned and picked Bakugo's stunned form and threw him at me. I vanished from view and reappeared down an alley, leaving Bakugo to fight against All Might. I tapped my earpiece. Yes, Sans. Recovery Girl asked. I won't lose points for just taking a shortcut to the exit right. That's a no-go. No shortcuts. I hear Nizu in the background. Damn it, Nizu. What about my inability to work with Bakugo? Give it one more shot, but you can let him be brutalized for a bit first. Sure. I tap it again, closing the connection. I teleport to a rooftop and just sit on the edge, watching Bakugo try to fight All Might and fail spectacularly. Only after he stopped, suitably happy that Bakugo wouldn't get up, did he leap towards the exit, likely expecting me to be trying to escape. I appear beside Bakugo. Get you ass up, ground zero. The target's escaping. I called, kicking his side. Are you going to lay here like some pansy, or are you going to kill All Might? He shot up and glared at me. He ran towards the exit thinking I was trying to escape. Ready to make a plan? Or are you going to go solo about this shit again? I sincerely, he wants to go solo again. TCH, what were you thinking? Well, fuck, he must have had a huge cruising while unconscious. I snap my fingers and a blue and orange bone appear. Blue bones make the one hit unable to move without immense agony. Orange hurts the one hit unless they move. I hit him with both, and you come in with those gauntlets from above. He thinks you're out of the fight. His face twisted into a snarl, and I kneel beside him, calling on my Gaster powers as 2 skeleton hands with holes in the back appear, green energy appearing. I direct them to his ribs and arms, focusing my energy there. We don't have much time. I can only heal a small amount before he returns. You should be able to handle the recoil of your gauntlets. But we only have one shot. He'll adapt. Done. The hands vanish and I stand, feeling the drain on my stamina. You better be right, you damn comedian. He got up and rushed towards the nearest alley, then blasted himself up the walls towards the rooftops. I turned around and knew I was so getting my ass beat when a fist appeared millimeters from my skin. Vanishing from sight, I snapped my fingers, the area turning black and white as our souls appeared, normal bones forming behind me and shooting at him. I note how his soul is a justice soul and cracked at the edges. Corruption. How cute, he sneered and punched the air. My bones aren't affected. What? One hit him in the face and the rest knocked him back. With a gesture, the ground opened up and he was impaled by a dozen bones, half blue, half orange. What the hell is T-Gayer? He screamed as his insides felt like they were melting. Sayonara, All Might. I tossed my cuffs towards him even as the sound of explosions above sounded, and he looked up. He was covered in fire and smoke, but I used my psychokinesis to cuff him, not even surprised by the steam that flooded the area. The darkness vanished and I sigh, feeling exhaustion from healing Bakugo fully hit me. A bead of sweat rolls down my face. Students win. Sounds out from speakers hidden around the mock city. Bakugo landed beside me and grabbed his shoulder. Remember this, Bakugo. Alone, one may defeat an army. I look towards him, my eye lights both on. But with allies, one can kill God. I turned away and walked back towards the bus, ready to just cuddle my frisk and sleep for a week. Maybe I should make a magic container to store excess magic for a later date. Nah. But Not much really happened after that. The teachers pulled a fast one on us and said everyone was going to the summer camp. Like they'd say no to training the failures more. So we decided to head to the shops. By we, I mean the class. I was dragged along for no reason. So I sat in the middle of the mall and feeling for LOV around me. However, the number of souls and pesky LOV in the lower levels made it a difficult task. I get up suddenly as I sense a powerful amount of LOV and hate in the area. No doubt something's going to happen. I need to find a vantage spot. I find a nice jeweler's and walk in, taking a glance at the many gemstones. One caught my eye in particular, a heart-shaped one, a hybrid of a ruby and a sapphire that mixed in the center. It was even in a lovely heart shape. Excuse me, that gem, is that naturally occurring? I ask, acting like I didn't know much about jewelry. I don't really, but I do know ones like that are very rare and amazingly compatible with magic. Hmm? Oh yes, the soulmate gem. It was a freak accident that the person who brought it in found it. A combination of ruby and sapphire that melded. However, instead of being something like a garnet or an amethyst, they ended up being some smoky quartz, the lady behind the counter said, pulling it from the cabinet. Nobody really wants the thing, too weird and all that. But I like it. How much? Well, it's been here a few years, and is rather large, she thought, and it was rather large, fitting in her palm. The two halves were the size of 2 to 3 gummy bears. But since it's not likely to be sold, 219,000 yen. I don't get paid much of an allowance, but I do have that account from the Yagis. It was set up to automatically add a good chunk of yen per month. I root around in my wallet and pull out the card for it. Let's see if I got enough, I grin, mentally smirking at the idea that if it's a bust, then I wasted Yagi money. It went through. Welp, would you like it on a chain or something? Nah, I want to make that myself. Extra special C. I accept the gem and turn to leave. Even a bonehead like me knows not to buy everything from a store. Stepping out, I see the hand-covered villain from the USJ holding Tsu by the throat, sitting down casually, as if nothing was wrong. Even from as far away as I was, I could see the fear in her eyes. A part of me itched to just stab him through right now at his sheer arrogance, but I kept that in check. Instead, I summoned a blue bones and sent it streaking through the crowd, stabbing into his wrist, making his muscles freeze up. A second bone threw Tsu off the bench and away from him, causing her to quickly react and flip, her frog instincts calming now that the predator was no longer focusing his bloodlust on her. He looked directly at me, and I grinned, phone already to my ear. Yanizu? Hand villain from the USJ appeared at the mall, had Tsu, but I got her out of his grasp. The guy vanished into a portal, his hate overpowering my blue bone, shattering it. Can you contain him? Nizu asked even as I weaved through the crowd. Negative, he already escaped. I reached the spot. Damn. Look after Ajui. Make sure the class is all right. He hung up, and I put my phone away after sending a quick SOS to the class group chat. Tsu, you good? I could tell she wasn't. Her hands were jittery and her face blanket than usual. Why, yeah, I'm good. I roll my eyes and pull her to me. She immediately collapsed and began sobbing on my shoulder. Shoo, he's gone. He can't hurt you anymore, I murmur. It was a scarce 5 minutes before the class had arrived. What happened, Midoriya? Ida immediately demanded, seeing Tsu was crying into my shoulder. The hand villain from the USJ had her in his grasp. I got them apart, but he vanished. I already informed Yue. Uraraka finally arrived, looking flushed, and I frown. But don't react as I notice a few buttons were wrongly done. What did you do to Tsu? She demanded angrily, her face turning into a frown as everyone looked at her, the flush looking more like rage. He didn't hurt me, Ochako. He saved me, Tsu finally said, pulling up from where she'd been crying. I remember something. Hang on, weren't you supposed to be walking with Tsu? I asked. Why the hell weren't you here? I thought you were friends. She looked scared for a moment before her facial expression closed up. I had to do something personal, so I told Tsu to meet me at the food court. Right. I looks round and count everyone who came as present. Well, groups of 2 or 3, we should finish our shopping while we're here. No use kicking up a fuss and freaking everyone out. I cast a glance at the people still going about their day, unaware that a villain had been so close. They left, and it was a few minutes before I got Sue up and went around with her for the stuff she wanted. And I also got her a cute frog plush to help cheer her up, something she hugged tightly to her chest. The police, Nizu, Aizawa, and All Might arrived after a bit, and after some questions we were allowed to go back to the dorms. I spent the afternoon watching Tsu, seeing how she was handling the situation, and sent off a quick text to Frisk that I wouldn't be over tonight, that a classmate needed some comfort. Despite the scare earlier, everyone was acting like things were normal, and I was the only one to notice Tsu was left on the outskirts of the group. It annoyed me, but I also kinda got why. They didn't want to dwell on the fact that a villain was so close, and as a result they were accidentally pushing Tsu out at the same time. I got her attention and jerked my head towards the elevator. She nodded, and we silently took the elevator up to my floor and went to my room. Midoriya, why are we here? Karo, Tsu asked as I ran a finger along the notebooks on my shelf. I know how you feel right now, Tsu. To be utterly terrified. Weak. Useless. I find the book I want and pull it out, turning back to her. My sleeping all the time, pins, jokes, and stuff? A facade to hide behind. I don't have a quirk like everyone else. I never did. I sat down at my desk, and she sat on the end of my bed. What do you mean? You have a quirk? She asked in confusion. No, that's not a quirk. It's magic. I looked down at the book I was holding. Embossed on the cover was a green heart split down the middle. On one side was a doctor with a needle. On the other, a warrior with a shield. I waved my hand over it and translated from windings into Japanese. I use magic, specialized for my soul, to alter the world around me. There are a number, 7 base soul traits, each a different color. Red, blue, green, yellow, orange, cyan, and purple. And each represents a specific trait: determination, integrity, kindness, justice, bravery, patience, and perseverance. So you know which one you are? I don't know. Her impassive face showed no signs of her figuring out what is talking about. Kindness. You have a green soul of kindness. With it comes a powerful gift, I smile. Those with a kindness soul are specially suited for healing and protecting others. I lean over and hand her the book. That is a list of spells and a few tips on how to touch your soul. In the cover is the 7 main souls. There are only 3 variants I know of. Hate. A black soul of someone consumed by their hatred, leaking black from their eyes and mouth. If it's intense enough, they may have blackness growing over their body, I further explain. Pink. Fear. The only soul I know that can resurrect the dead, but only if they were the ones to kill the person, and only in specific circumstances. And my soul. With a thought, my soul took form. A white upside-down heart. This is what I call a monster soul. It has no specific trait that powers it, no underlying abilities that are special to it. If I die, I'll turn to dust, no corpse. My bones are my personal magic, not something others could learn, even if they had my type of soul. Why? Why show you this? Tell you all this? I ask, getting a nod. Because you remind me of someone I knew a long time ago. He had a monster soul like I. But if he didn't have a monster soul, he'd have had a kindness soul. He always believed in the best of someone, promised himself to always forgive. My brother, Papyrus. He had bones too, but his special bones were orange. I snapped my fingers and 2 bones formed, a blue and an orange. As long as you keep moving, the orange bone will not hurt you. Easy to do, and it fit his nature in not hurting others. My blue bone hurts those that move through it. I learned how to summon his as tribute. I'm sorry for your loss. I got over it a long time ago, but that's why I'm giving you that. I nod to the book. You aren't a fighter, you're a guardian, a protector of those that can't look after themselves. Like a mother, Froppy indeed, I grin. You don't talk about your past much, she said. It's very complicated, and you wouldn't understand half of the concepts involved. But let's just say this isn't my first rodeo in the heroing gig and leave it at that, shall we? A nod. Great. Tomorrow's Sunday. I'll introduce you to my girlfriend, and we'll start teaching you magic and how to fight when your enemy plans to kill you. Can I stay here? She asked softly. All right, go get ready, I'll wait. She slipped out, and I got changed and brushed my teeth. She came in wearing an oversized frog onesie, and holding the plush I got her earlier. I moved over, and she slipped into bed, cuddling me tightly. I stare in slight bafflement as Frisk fawns over Tsu like an overprotective mother. That's adorable. Especially how Tsu seemed so confused about Frisk moving around her as fast as she was asking question after question. I'm sorry, but how did you two meet? Karo, Tsu asked, making Frisk blush, and I chuckle. How about it, bud? I ask. Frisk peered back and forth between us and opened her eyes to look at Tsu before closing them again, coming to sit beside me. I guess we can tell her of the underground. The underground? Tsu asked. Do you mean the underworld and black market stuff? No, we mean the underground, where monsters were sealed in our original timeline, Frisk said. See, a determination soul is the most powerful soul in CA have for one specific reason. I say, and snap my fingers, making the world go black and white and our souls appear. As long as one is sufficiently determined, there's not actually anything that can stop them. Not even time or fate itself. I've died many trillions of times, but my determination allows me to come back to life in a newly constructed body, Frisk said, and stabbed herself in the head. Her soul cracked in half and shattered. I tossed the corpse away, and Frisk appeared from a glowing star that formed. But respawning is only the beginning. I can reset, Frisk said, bringing he button up. When I do, though, it obliterates the previous timeline and moves us sideways into the next. For some reason, even though I'm the only one that resets, Sans always remembers too. And due to the fact that we boy have more determination than the historical point we reset till we instantly take over that version of us, our determination quashes theirs easily. I shrug as Frisk returned to her spot. Sue just stared at the corpse. Oh, right, Frisk stabs her body and flooded it with determination, vaporizing it rather than just detonating it. I vanish the battle mode and focus on Tsu. After explaining the basics of the underground, our various timelines, sheer number of them, and Chara, she was notably distressed. So we instead focused on teaching her to access her soul. First, I had her focus on her family, remembering the love and care she had for her siblings, the fondness she had for their antics rather than irritation for their immaturity. She managed a weak, eggshell-thick shield after an hour. That would only grow as she grew stronger and more in tune with her soul. Most of the class left for Island a week after the shopping trip, and by then I was reasonably sure Tsu could take care of herself. I'd already grown attached to the kid. Meanwhile, I was working hard on my side project. Frisk kept trying to peek, but I know her well enough that I can predict her every move. The class returned from Island buzzing and a few injured, though those were broken bones, scrapes and bruises I could tell had been healed by the smoothness of the skin. Something big had gone down, and they'd had to sign NDAs. I didn't push Tsu. I let in I knew something had happened and moved on to her training. The week leading up to the training camp was filled with excitement and anticipation from the mentally challenged members of class who thought it was a regular old summer camp. When we were on the bus, I sat with Tsu. When we stop, hide and don't get off, I say softly. Karo, she said nothing more. We've shown her numerous memories of ours, some of the lesser traumatized ones. Fights, tricks, plans, and such. Nothing to affect her mind or anything, but enough to get her to be more in her guard than the class would normally be. Good training, but not over the top to turn her into a crazed war veteran that jumps at everything and is suspicious of everything. The bus slows and Aizawa gets up once we'd stopped. All right, everyone off the bus. We're here, he called. We stay seated, using the guide of allowing everyone else past first. So what was that about? She asked. Logical ruse. He'll have the class travel the rest of the way on foot fighting dirt monsters, thanks to the wild pussycats. You aren't strong enough to last a 7 hours trench through the forest with your magic yet. That's what I'll be focusing on with you these next 2 weeks, she shivered when I grin. After a while he hear cries of shock and I lower myself in my seat, pulling my hood over my head. Sue followed suit, leaning against me in false sleep. Aizawa waked up the aisle and found us, stood there for a few minutes as the bus moved and watched us. Then he walked back up to the front. I don't move an inch. After an hour we arrived, at which point I climbed out of my seat, grabbing everyone's bags with my psychokinesis. You told her, didn't you? Aizawa asked. Yeah, but I'm handling her training personally. I don't want her tired out because of your antics, I shrugged, directing the bags into the rooms for boys and girl, almost knocking Kota over. Oh hey Kota, how are you? I ended up saving his parents from muscular a while back, completely by accident. I even took his eye in the process. I'm good, Midoriya. You? He asked, coming over. I'm alright, bud. This is Tsuyu Azui, Sue for short. I'm teaching her magic too. Kota's a bit of a pet project of mine. He has a soul of patience, so I wanted to see if I could end up teaching him to use bones. No luck. Instead, he has telekinesis, gravity manipulation, and shortcuts, though he can't go far without completely knocking himself out. Still a hell of a good variety of abilities. Really? Wicked. What can you do? Kota turned to her and asked eagerly. Sue raised a hand and it glowed green, healing energy coming off, and a shield forming on her left arm. Kindness isn't the best in attacking. Looking after others, though, she whispered loudly as if it was a huge secret. I can heal people. Kota's eyes widened, and I could almost see little stars of amazement forming in them. Awesome. He grabbed her hand and vanished. I feel them reappear in his room a good 100 meters away. Huh, he's gotten stronger. I follow. Nice work, kiddo. I ruffle his hair. That was a good 100 meters, and you aren't even breathing heavy. Yeah, I've been working hard to get stronger. I can tell. You're making sure to meditate at least an hour a day, right? I check. I can tell he has been. Yeah, but it's so boring. He groaned, making Tsu giggle. Meditating increases your magic, sharpens your mind, and calms your magic for better results, bud. Can't help it. I shake my head regretfully. I began teaching Kota as a test to see if I could impart knowledge on how to make bones to a human soul, but other than a few of my non-bone abilities, he hasn't been able to do it. My guess at his age playing a role in the abilities he got. I'm at the point where I only meditate when I sleep. In a fight, my determination narrows my focus to my goal, sharpening and calming it, but turning it into a sharp scalpel. What do you mean? Sue asked. He's young. Kids usually mimic that which they see. I showed my psychokinesis and shortcuts. He managed to get shortcuts, telekinesis, and gravity manipulation. Show her, kid. Kota nodded and lifted a hand towards Tsu, a cyan glow covering it as his red eyes shift into the same blue as my own. Tsu's soul appeared and turned dark blue. Suddenly, she fell upwards, landing on the roof. Gravity inversion. Nice technique, bud. I grin. Kota smiled at me and lost focus, Tsu falling back down. This time she landed on her feet. But can you do this? I apply it on myself, flipping upside down with a kick of my foot as I lifted up and stood on the roof, hands in my pockets as I grin at them. Oh, come on. What? Don't have the spine to try? I jeer. He frowned, and I see his eyes flare blue. He began to float, and just sat there. Huh. He lost concentration and fell. Nice. I didn't learn zero gravity till I inverted myself and almost hit a sharp stalactite. I float beside him. Don't worry, you got decades to figure this stuff out. I suffered a lot of broken bones taking to too fast. Let me give you a hint. His TV turned on, and I put in a game I bought him. Then I navigated to the right ability. Parallel processing, he asked. In games, they depict it as being able to make twice the actions. In real life, it allows you to think of two separate things at once. I focus on a few different things to float lean this. It should be a good starting point to keeping yourself in the air while talking. Watch a few magic shows. Personal recommendation? So I'm a spider, so what? It's an anime about a girl who was reincarnated as a spider and yearns to regain her human form. And it has parallel processing. Sue asked suddenly, confused. It does. It also has the unique perspective of what happens in the head itself as you think, which is why I suggested it. I explain as I land. Kota, Sue and I were lounging on beach chairs and enjoying the sun's rays when the class finally arrived, just in time for dinner. About time you slowpokes got here. I called mercilessly. You? Fucking prick. We could have used your help. Yayarosa gasped, losing her earnestness to curse me out. Though considering how she looks like she's not eaten in months, I'm not surprised. Huh? Oh no. If you think you're tired now, wait till the camp starts. And besides, I'm a chest code. I could do the damn forest challenge in half an hour. I wave my hand at them. I wouldn't get anything out of it, so I thought I'd let you have the experience to yourselves. And Ajui? Ida groaned from the ground, calves suffering second-degree burns. I've been waiting for you to train, Caro, she admitted and walked over, holding her hands over Ida's calves. A green light emanated from her palms, and the red burns slowly healed up, the area regrowing newer skin and muscle. What on earth dash? I cut them off. I taught her that. Don't try and get her to teach you, only Koda could learn it. And she's by far nowhere near as progressed as she'd need to be to teach him. Fuck that weak sauce healing bullshit, teach me how to break stuff, now you stupid bonehead. Weak sauce, huh? I frown. I'll have you know that as long as it's a fresh injury, Tsu can now heal any wound. Cuts, burns, stabs, bullets, explosion, and if the limb is still intact, entire limbs, and even spinal damage. I retort, shutting down all arguments. Now it takes energy for that, and it's slow at the moment. But that's what I'll be personally training her for these next 2 weeks. I'm not fool. I know exactly what I just did. I turned the frog in the class. Adorable as she wasn't all that high in importance. But now that she's a healer? Well, her importance just shot through the fucking roof. Having shot down any protesting, I returned to my son bathing. I get so little of it nowadays. The training I made Tsu undergo was quite simple in its complexity. I had her constantly moving. She was healing everyone she could reach. I kept up with instilling urgency and fear into her. My aura is perfect for activating her prey instincts, at which point I force her to overwhelm it with her desire to help someone. It took some getting used to, but I think I did it all right. On the last day of the 2-week camp, I couldn't shake something was off, but nothing happened all day, so I relaxed my vigil slightly. That night after the test of courage, we all went to bed. Only, I didn't wake up in the cabins. Immediately, I could feel something was off even before opening my eyes. My arms are by my sides, arms elevated on armrests. Metal bound me in place. I've been kidnapped. Suddenly I hear people talking. Really? You're already a villain. Then what if I kill your classmate? Shoes thump against wooden flooring and a hand rested on my face, for fingers. Shit, I'm really in it this time, aren't I? You think I care about some D-lister in the making? Huh, don't make me laugh, Shigaraki. Then his death will be on you. I was about to shortcut out of there when the wall burst in, surprising everyone. A thumb pressed against my right eyelid in shock. Immediately, I felt pain as my skin immediately began to burn and itch, the cells dying at a rapid rate. It quickly spread across my face even as the world kept moving around me. I hack and cough on my knees. Despite the pain, I open my eyes. Dust. Dust everywhere. Am I back underground? I'd this in new time. No, there's Bakugo. The dust clears a bit more even as I feel the decay growing further across my head, dust falling from my body as it slowly decayed away. This can't be my newest death. I feel my eyes darken in my rage. Suddenly large winds shoot up, and I see Bakugo go flying, Shigaraki flying from out of view with him. I turn, finding All Might had punched a suited villain. His aura, however, was what I used to identify him. All for one. Suddenly large winds shoot up, and I see Bakugo go flying, Shigaraki flying from out of view with him. I turn, finding All Might had punched a suited villain. His aura, however, was what I used to identify him. All for one. To when he deflates. The same people came to rescue Bakugo and Izuku, but Izuku didn't hear them, and Tsu took Izuku's place. Hollow cheeks and sunken eyes. What a top hero. I heard the sarcasm from a mile away. But now I have to get up. By now the decay's progressed into my guts and innards. Hey, I shout, my voice is deeper, back like when I was using my magic to speak. Right. No vocal cords. I force myself to my feet. I looked a bloody mess, clothes in tatters and bloody covering my body. I stumble forward as they turn to me. I grab as the sagging skin on my face. The muscle and veins are decayed, the skin gray and dead-looking. You should be dead, All for One said, his voice echoing around the battlefield. Not quite. I grin, feeling control of my skull returning to me the more I spoke, and I do something disgusting. I grab the skin around my left skull area and pull. The nerves are dead, so it doesn't hurt, though the skin did try its best to stay whole. Must be a determination bleed through effect. Bone reshaped and my clothes disintegrated as I took a few more steps, dust falling from the cuffs of my clothing till all of my flesh vanished. Bone reshaped and my clothes disintegrated as I took a few more steps, dust falling from the cuffs of my clothing till all of my flesh vanished, leaving bone and rapidly disintegrating cloth. Now free of the dust, I snap my fingers, casting a spell to swap the rags I'm wearing, covered in blood and dust with my hero's suit. From a pocket, I pull out a tissue, using it to wipe off my skull, leaving it a pure white bone isn't meant to be. Usually they're stained yellow until cleaned. I have a question for you all for one. I grin, my eye flaring, flicking the tissue to the side. I have a question for you all for one. I grin, my eye flaring, flicking the tissue to the side. Are you ready to have a bad time? He stared at me. Well, he didn't have eyes, but with his quirks, I'm sure he was staring at me. You shouldn't be alive. How are you talking? You're a skeleton. Decay should have killed you. He repeated. Decay? Oh, that hurt a skeleton. My bones are near indestructible, though. I snap my fingers, summoning some bones I launch at him. He swung that massive arm aside, but the bones turned blue and stab I to the arm, locking it into place. What is this? He demanded, growling as he ripped the bones from his arm, the damage repairing. With another gesture, the ground underneath him cracked and shattered as bones shot out. He jumped out of the way, but while in the air, I summoned a Gaster Blaster behind him. It didn't incinerate him, but it did leave major burns on him, his form slamming into the ground even as I feel my magic eye flicker. Karma causes him to scream in pain, the karma attacking his soul directly. Not something he has a quirk to defend. With a grin, I summon a swarm of Gaster Blasters and order them to fire. A dozen beams of raw magical energy blasted him. He climbed to his feet, and I could see the hate he was feeling overflowing from his mouth, though to others it may look like saliva. What sorcery is this, brat? Who the hell do you think you are? I am all for one, king of the underworld and the quirk merchant. And no skeletal child could defeat me. He roared. Oh, I'm no normal child. I send an orange swarm of bones at him, but he blasts them back with a wave of air that barely ruffled my jacket. See, you stole my quirk as a child and left me to a life of hell. I had to find another way to become a hero. I think I did a pretty good job, as you can see. Bones come from the ground in front of me to block an energy blast before withdrawing to reveal all for one in front of me, fist mere millimeters from my face. I slide to the side and All Might follows. Once we were away, I look at him. You should get out of here, old-timer. It's not safe for a quirkless person. I summon a medium-sized blaster that bit into the back of his hero's suit and flew off. I turned back to All for One and summoned a massive bone from beside me, hitting him hard and sending him away from me. The bone vanished as I reached up and grabbed All for One's soul with my psychokinesis, freezing his body in the air. Then, without even a gesture, I send him at the ground, a dust cloud forming where he hits even as I summon blue bones to stab into him. Not letting up on the attack, I summon a blaster to shoot at the spot, but it missed as All for One dodged. I will kill you, he roared, launching at me with super strength. I don't even blink as I catch him mid-air, a mere meter from my face, and a Goliath Gaster Blaster formed behind him, mouth wide open. Get dunked on, it bit down. Blood splattered over me, and I saw his soul shatter. I get rid of all the bones and blasters still in the area aside from the one holding All for One, looking at the corpse. Right, his soul wasn't a determination one. No resets this time. I snapped my finger, and the blaster reoriented before charging up. Then it fired a powerful blast into the sky, incinerating the corpse. I don't want to know what a copy of Reanimation Quirk could do with that bastard. I shake my head and turn away, walking into the building and looking around. I find Ragdoll and look at her carefully. Her integrity soul is dim. Come on, Ragdoll, let's get you up. I reach down and pick her up, pushing a small chunk of magic into her as I do. Her soul shines a little brighter thanks to the top up, wrapping her arm around my neck. I pick her up to walk back out of the semi-demolished building, my eye dimming back to two white dots. By the time I got out, an ambulance and police had arrived, including the other pussycats. Ragdoll, Tiger noticed us first. He rushed over. Careful now. She's had her quirk stolen. Come visit soon. I'll give you guys a book on integrity soul magic for her to learn. I carefully hand her over to him, letting him carry her to the ambulance. Pixie Bob was already there, and Mandalay came over, looking me over. Are you all right? She asked hesitantly. Yep, this is technically my true face. Reason I had skin and organs was because I was born to humans. I let my soul manifest for a moment. Upside-down souls like mine are actually monster souls. We have unique magic and forms. You'd find more monster souls in mutation quirk users than those that look more human. Decay only removed the human flesh from me. So, being bare bones isn't uncomfortable. No, I can still feel, it's just more interesting feeling the air pass through my eyes and ribs. I shrug. Right. I'm going to pretend I understand anything you just said. What can I say? It's more humorous for me than worrying. I disconnect my alarm and wiggle the offending bone, getting a short laugh from her. Sticking it back on, I shrug. Only downside to this is the lack of lips. Can't kiss my girl as well now. Still got a tongue. I open my mouth and stick out the glowing blue appendage. How? Pure magic remakes important organs, you know? Brain, tongue, eyes, and a few others. They don't all look or work like normal, but they work. I shrug. Right. Mr. Midoriya? I turn to see a cop looking a bit nervous. Yeah, bud. I have orders to arrest you for murder. I don't want to, but well. You'd lose your job. I got it. I shoved my hands out for him to cuff. Thanks. He cuffed me and directed me towards a cop car he put me in the back of. The seat was rather tough, but with due to being bone, that wasn't exactly an issue for me. The trip was much longer than I expected, though as I thought about it, it makes sense. With the chaos the fight caused and sheer power in each blow between All Might and All for One, there might be structural damage in the surviving buildings in the area. They're probably relocating everyone to a safer distance till they can check on the area for sinkhole risks and such. I take a nap while the cop drove. I woke up at the feel of the car turning off, and count an hour had passed. Looking around, I immediately identified where we were. And the driver swapped midway, someone with higher clearance. I'm at some kind of facility in the mountains. You aren't the guy I let arrest me, I observe, surprising the guy. Yeah, he was needed for rescue efforts, so I took over. He raised a hand and showed he had a hook. Can't really help myself. I could smell the lie, but I didn't call him out for it. Makes sense. Sorry you're stuck with that thing. When he wasn't looking, I reach into my pocket and grab the soulmate gem, slipping it in my mouth and up into the back of my skull. One good thing about not having a brain, lots of space. And everyone forgets that I don't have a brain to take up the area anymore. Nobody can help the quirk they're born with. He shrugged and got out, walking me to the main entrance. My ESP field easily slipped through the energy barrier around this place, likely a localized quirk dampening field emitter. I hide my amused snort, but do not. The number of people seem to be low. So how long you think till I get my phone call? I ask as the door is close behind us, acting the innocent kid. Phone call? A different person asked. I look over and see Madam President of the Hero Commission. Well, yeah, I was arrested. Don't I get a free 5 minutes call? I query. No, so you don't get to have contact with the outside world anymore, Midoriya? Really? Why? Because you have information we want. Until we have that, you aren't going anywhere. What information? I asked, curious. You said during the fight, you stole my quirk as a child and left me to a life of hell. I had to find another way to become a hero. I think I did a pretty good job, as you can see. We want to know how you did it and how to replicate it, she said, even as I moved deeper into the building. I look at her soul and see a cracked, dim yellow soul. Your leading trait is corruption, and your eyes show LOV-13. Interesting. Love? Huh. You must be mentally challenged. She let out a small derisive snort. Not love. LOV, it's an acronym. For what? She frowned. Level of violence. A scale to match one's capacity to hurt. 1 to 20-inch I draw. Can't be very accurate if it's up to 20. You kill, but try to keep it on the down low. And definitely have others do it. You likely indoctrinate innocent people into being your servants and followers. Why lift a hand yourself when you can throw someone like Nagan under the bus for doing your dirty work? She looked at me piercingly. Okay, maybe it's a good system, but I doubt you can get that much from my eyes. No, most was your soul. There's 7. You have a yellow soul, meaning justice. It's cracked and dimmer than a true justice soul, so it's a corruption soul. Politicians have him, and no smart politician ever does their own dirty work. We stop at an elevator and get on. She hits the lowest button. My magic is quite impressive, but even I can't read minds. Not without specific circumstances. Magic? That's what you call this. New power type. I call it what it is. There's way more to it than bones and gaster blasters. Good. You will tell us all about these uses. No, I don't think so. The elevator opened, and we move along. You don't understand what's going on, child. I hold all the cards. She swiped her card on the wall, and a beep sounded before we continued. How so? Well, you're currently in one of the most secure facilities on the planet. More secure than Tartarus, filled to the brim with lasers, biometric scanners, a meta-ability dampening field, guns, blades, traps. Everything we could imagine, this place has it. Didn't Nizu escape a place like this? I frown, acting concerned. Yes, this one in fact. We've since updated the security to triple the deadlines, removed his form of escape, and a quirk user immune to the field will manipulate the labyrinth in a number of ways that will leave the person back where they started. Good. I don't need to worry then. Well, it seems you've thought of everything. Sensei will be pleased when I manage to escape. I chuckle. Oh, that won't be happening. The hall led to a single for that opened as we approached. Within was a clear box, and in that box was a table on its end with metal clamps. Pure diamond box with a graphene table. Each band is carbon nanotube and all is enhanced by a quirk to an indestructible level of durability. So useless then. I allow them to strap me in, my grin never fading as I keep my eyes locked with Madam President. I still need to eat, just so you know. Not sure if you might think that without a stomach I won't need food. Just wanted to make it clear I grin. I like tomato sauce. This isn't a hotel. You don't get to choose your food, she scowled. I shrug as little as I can. Can't say I didn't try. I guess you could say that I'm boned. Hee hee. That was a bad pun, she glared. They all left, and I closed my eyes, instead watching them leave with my ESP field. Patience has always been my strong suit. I wonder how they'll react when Frisk tears this place down around them. It took a week for Frisk to find me. Not surprising since I doubt she was able to just cast a spell to locate me. Not after I lost my skin and organs. She'd have to do it the magicless way. The first sign I got that something strange was going on was the shaking. When they put me in here, I noticed the dust in the air, and I'd been watching it, occasionally manipulating the gravity in here to be upside down, sideways, and normal to create shapes. I managed to create a rather stable tesseract pattern when I felt my bindings shake against my bones. A grin stretched across my skull. There you are, love. I grin and roll my tongue. Pulling his soulmate gem from my skull, I'd been working tirelessly on it all week, not sleeping once. I've infused it with my magic and constantly pushed more and more power into it. It had undergone a major transformation. It had grown a ribcage of glowing blue bones on the red side and orange bones on the blue side. The edges had joint-like markings, and at the top of each round cutting was a chain made from bones with invisible joints. The explosions and destruction were growing stronger and louder as my Frisk came to me. Bang! Bang! The roof glowed red. Kaboom! The roof exploded, sending smoke and debris in every direction. My little box was the only clear air in the room. Sans. Hey love, perfect timing. I teleport out into the smoke before Frisk, summoning a single bone to stab and shatter the cage, cutting the restraints to give the illusion I was cut free. I hope you aren't upset about my loss of lip dash, she kissed me. I loved you before you had lips. Now let's get out of here. I make a ruckus so the media might be on its way. Of course, love. I reverse our gravity, sending us vertical. Coming free of the cloud, I note that it's nighttime. Oh, I have something I made for you. Happy 1 millionth, my love. I spat the gem into my hand. This has as much magic as I could shove into it this past week. It has one directive: to allow you the ability to use my magic as you did against Chara in your mind. It will recharge to its current amount, and it'll tie itself to your soul. AKA, it'll follow her in every reset and death. I got a massive kiss for that. When I hooked it over her head, the gem started to glow. Suddenly her soul appeared, and we watch as determination flowed into the gem, the orange bones darkening to red. A final flash, and the bones around her neck turned the purple of the smoky quartz middle. Beautiful, just like my human half, I smile. We reach the surface, and I land is beside the massive hole where the mountain used to be. You really destroyed the entire mountain? I ask, not surprised, but curious. Frisk's destroyed a whole planet before, but destroying the mountain was overkill. I wanted to make a statement. Don't take my sands. I saw the dangerous glint in her life that reminded me that Frisk was a Yandere of epic proportions. I mean, if a girl flirts with me, she won't do anything since she knows I'm loyal. But three things send her into her Yandere mode: kidnapping me, obsessive girls, and other Yanderes. When it comes to her destroyer tendencies, well, three things set her off: princes, the princess strong man savior trope, and magical girl worlds. See, there's one thing we both hate more than Chara. It's magical girls. Especially the dumb ones where the villain will literally stand there and watch the 30 seconds transformation, and spells are literal songs and rhymes. Attacks with hearts, sparkles, and rainbows also piss us off. So if we reset into one of those, I let Frisk immediately destroy it. The PTSD in Frisk is so strong the mere mention causes her to have half her face covered in hate as a power boost she uses to destroy the first thing she looks at, which caused a good 5 city detonations when she tried to see a therapist. I look around and hear as a chopper moved our way. I grab Frisk's hand and shortcut to UA, reappearing in Nizu's office. He took a single look at us and smiled. Where was it? Nizu asked. Your old place. Madam President didn't even think that magic may be able to work in the anti-quirk field. She was the boss of it. He asked. Yep. Frisk destroyed the mountain. That caused him to blink and look at Frisk. You destroyed a mountain? He asked in disbelief. I'm not surprised he's shocked. Frisk is such an unassuming person, gentle as can be and polite. Her eyes are shut. All monstrously powerful people keep their eyes closed. Nizu, I snort. Well, damn. I never noticed that, he cursed in bafflement, likely having just realized it. Yes, well, I've not slept this week, and I'm sure Frisk wants to sleep. I'll be in her dorm most nights like usual, I inform him. All right. No babies, hear me. He pointed a pen at us, and I nod while Frisk just blushed. I blip us there and slipped into the bed. Frisk quickly changed, but I was out before she joined me. Surprisingly, my rescue wasn't on the news. The commission definitely covered it up. Now, the vanishing mountain, however, was definitely noticed. It was blamed as an unnoticed casualty of the All Might finale, as the media were calling the All Might versus All for one fight. They were also going Ina and Dion about how he was a washed-up hero, and I may be the next symbol of peace. I sent in a single email. In it, I specified my chosen hero name, and the fact that if they wanted to give me a title, make it the Karmic Judge. I also specified my karma ability to explain why I'd prefer that title. Within hours, I was trending. Hashtag Sans Judge. Hashtag Karmic Judge. Hashtag Sans Skeleton. And more along that line. The whole fight was edited and compiled into a stunning fight of epic proportions. Everything I said was in it and blew up. The idea that I didn't have a quirk but still had powers made everyone go nuts. There were huge amounts of people demanding information and asking about if anyone can learn. I made a social media account and posted a long letter to the world explaining anyone is capable of learning. But nobody will learn without my express permission because of the fact that a single person could destroy a city with these abilities. And it could happen so fast that no hero could stop the person before the entire city was massacred. Surprisingly enough, the response wasn't as bad as I expected. There were haters, but they were a minority. It was probably because I mentioned that nobody without my express permission would learn, meaning I'll teach, but only to those who would use it right. Meaning villains wouldn't be able to use magic themselves, and I wasn't going to just hoard this information. My class, however, was filled with people demanding to learn, especially once they saw how useful Tsu was now. I gave Tsu permission to teach Koda since kindness souls are very rarely capable of using their magic for cruelty. And if they do, it's for a damn good reason. So Koda started learning, and due to having to find ways of teaching, I watched over the next weeks as Tsu grew in leaps and bounds. The hero licensing exam came and went. It seems after my escape, Madam President's taken a step back on how to handle me, especially with Frisk around. Meh, not like they can permanently kill Frisk. She'll just come back, or worst case scenario, she'll reset. One day I was taking the trash out as my daily chores when I noticed a face coming out of the wall. Need a hand? I asked the face. Nope, I'm good, it said and continued to watch me. I tossed the trash bag in the dumpster and frowned at the face. You know, when you frown your skull moves. That's not natural, it said. Comes with the magic. I wave my finger, yanking the face forward with telekinesis and immediately regret the action. Air, why are you naked? My clothes don't come with me when I use my quirk. You. Who? I send him flying at the wall which he phased back through. The moment he left my sight, I teleport back to the judgment hall to find her doing some calculus on the couch I brought for napping on a while back. Sans. She looked at me in confusion as I just stare at her in wordless confusion. I just saw what I believe is an upperclassman. Naked. His face was looking at me through he wall, so I pulled it through. But his clothes apparently don't come with him. I blink. I need snuggles. Oh, come here, Sans, she stood. I sat in the chair, and she sat on my lap. I just hold her as my mind goes around in circles over and over. Why? 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 Shoo, don't worry about what you saw. Focus on me, baby. Frisk's voice calmed my frantic mind, snapping me out of the loop. Thanks, Frisk. You're too good for me. I should be saying that about you. Chari used my face for centuries to kill your brother, but you still accepted me. I sigh, but don't argue, remembering all too well that Frisk can argue forever thanks to her determination. Instead, I enjoy the peace. I hate my life. I look around at my downed class with irritation. The only ones still up are Tsu and Koda, their kindness shields somehow disabling the phasing Mirio can do. Surprising, because he phased through my blue bones and psychokinesis. But not my gravity manipulation. His quirk just makes the new down his new launch from point. With them stuck in bubbles, I stare at the floating naked dude in annoyance. Can you please admit defeat? As long as my eyes glowing like this, I have infinite energy. And with your gravity anchored to that point, it's like you're in the center of a non-existent planet. No matter to launch from, and no way to wait me out. And how long can you last? Because everything has a limit. He can last upwards of a year, Frisk shouted from the sidelines. Excuse me. Mirio frowned. As long as I have determination for an end goal, my eye will continue to emit magic like this until that goal is reached, or I'm convinced against it. As long as my eye glows, I have infinite energy. Ergo, until I forget of your existence, I will remain determined for you to admit defeat and have the power to hold you there until either I forget in a year or someone can convince me to stop caring. At which point you'll fall a good two-story building height randomly, breaking bones before you can react and being unable to fight. If you're even awake to react, I explain, already bored. You seem bored. Won't you lose interest? Nah, my end goal is you to admit defeat. Whether or not I get bored during the process won't end my determination to get you to admit defeat, I shrug. Now when I get bored, I'll go do something else. Without a brain, I can split my attention between 50 or so tasks if the others are simple. All right, I admit defeat. I drop him and move over to Frisk, sitting beside her. Sir would love to meet you and your broken magic. Set up a meeting date, and I'll show up. Right now, I want to sleep. I turn away from him and push Frisk onto her back, her face not shifting from her homework as I face plant between her breasts and conk out. So, you want to do your work study here at my agency, Sir Nightai said, looking at me with annoyance. Yep, that Mirio stripper dude said you'd like to meet me, so I figured we had something in common. I shrug. I felt you were a good choice considering you've been handling the trigger investigation. Nobody can hide from me, and unless a warp quirk is involved, nobody can escape. You sound like an arrogant brat. No, that's the Pomeranian in my class. Wanted to call himself Almighty Explosion Murder God. He looked at me funny. I know, stupid, but it takes a lot of spine to actually try and pick something that's self-aggrandizing. He ignored my pun. And why should I let you work study here? For all I know, you could be blowing smoke. I ain't got lungs to blow anything for one. 2. You really want my skills on board. Considering I obliterated the human boogeyman in under 5 minutes, his eyes narrow at me. That's a good point. And your girlfriend? He looked over at Frisk, who was distracted by the hero merch in the room. Just as capable, and she can do more damage. I can't destroy entire timelines with a knife slash like her. Really? She doesn't look like much. In a flash, a red knife of determination caved a path through the air to hover in front of Sir Nightai, an ability Frisk learnt after fighting Story Shift Chara. I may not look it, but remember that mountain that vanished? Not because of the All Might finale. That was me a week later, Frisk admits casually. Madam President of the Hero Commission arrested and imprisoned Sans here to learn the secrets of magic and how to weaponize it. And yet you're still becoming heroes? He asked, not believing her for a second. We want to help people. Neither one of us uses a quirk, so we can't be in the wrong for using magic to help others. Would you prefer we went vigilante or pro? She asked. He holds up a stamp. If you can get this stamp from me, dash. I rip it out of his hand telekinetically. Got it, I grin. I hope you ain't upset, cause to be honest with you, I have many abilities I've not shown. There was no keeping it from me. Then there's her. I jerk my thumb as Frisk, who moves so fast that nobody without insane reflexes can dodge. She flickered from view and reappeared on Nightai's desk holding the hilt of the knife she'd thrown earlier. So, are the bad time duo doing our work studies here? I grin, knowing he won't refuse with the insane level of skill just we showed him. You are. Mirio will be your go-between for patrols and stuff. I toss him the stamp, and he stamped our work study forms. It was next day I had my first patrol. I rocked up in my hero suit by teleporting to the door of Nightai's office. You're already here? I called you a few minutes ago. He frowned once I'd entered. I was in the area, I lie. It's a school day? You should have been in class. I'm Nizu's personal student, like he cares if I'm in classes. Technically, I've already graduated. I was just too young to actually attend, so now I'm just biding my time till I can officially graduate. I shrug. I take to wandering around or joining Frisk in her classes. After class time, I wait in my judgment hall for students that want to appeal punishments and such. Nizu's idea? He asked. Yeah, before there weren't any because of the intimidation factor of the teachers being heroes. But with an unknown student as the judge for appeals, I get a good 4 or 5 a week. I shrug. So what should I expect for this patrol? Quiet area since I'm new, or tossing me off the deep end? Quiet area. Nice. I'll go find Mirio. I stepped out and flickered down to the lobby where I found Mirio waiting. Mirio. He spun and saw me. I looked at his hero suit and mentally grimaces. White skin-tight suit with a red cape and the number 1,000,000 on the front, and a yellow visor. On a hunch, I glanced at his soul. Courage. Understandable. He might be a good candidate for me to teach magic, to be honest. He wouldn't rely on it after all, but if he can't keep it secret from everyone, then I'm not going to teach him. Courage, or bravery as it was officially called in the underground, gives the user pyro and phragokinesis with energy blasts and energy weapon creation. They can also do a rally ability where all nearby allies gain a multiplier enhancement on all physical abilities. Certainly things that would be very useful for a spotlight hero such as Mirio, based off that suit. Midoriya, Sir said you'd be here later. I was in the area. It won't mess with any plans, will it? No, it shouldn't. We can go on the patrol now. It'll just last an extra half hour. But that means I can add a few stops. Well, once you put on your hero suit, that is. I blink and look down at myself and back at him. This is my hero suit. The jacket can change depending on my mood, and there's a scarf for winter, but this is it. Not pants. I roll my eyes. I don't feel cold. The scarf will be there mostly for kids to mess around with. I slip my hands in my pockets. Shall we? He nodded and moved towards the door. I followed. The patrol was quiet as I expected it to be. So, why exactly do we do patrols so openly? I ask Mirio, wanting his belief of it. It makes the people happy, and Dieter's crime. Wouldn't they schedule crimes for when heroes aren't in the area? Maybe, but Sir usually randomizes when patrols happen. Even without his quirk, he tends to be good at predicting things. Makes sense, his sole trait is patience, I allow. Trait? Mirio asked in confusion. Right? Everyone has a little heart that's their soul. Destroy it and they die. Kill them and it is destroyed. There's a few common traits. Patience is for those that sit back and watch, waiting for the right moment to act, like an assassin or foresight user would have, I explain. You have a bravery soul. You jump into the fight and have charisma to you, able to rally allies better and, in a few cases, would be so dominating that you make an opponent lose the courage to fight. He raised an eyebrow, but his smile grew. That fits me quite well, actually. I've always admired All Might and how he uses his smile to hide his fear, so I've tried my best to emulate it. I clench my fists in my pockets in anger at the mention, but don't let it show on my face. Instead, I spoke calmly. I dislike what All Might did, becoming the symbol of peace. Mirio turned to me, stopping on the spot. Why on earth would you not like it? His mere presence lowered crime to a mere fraction of its previous levels. And heroes have come to see heroics as a job, a paycheck, or a way of gaining fame. And now that he's retired, what do you think will happen? I frown at him. Well, there might be a bit of crime increase, but Endeavor will dash. Either be killed or collapse under the burden of being number one. I say calmly, continuing to walk. All Might became a symbol, a pillar. It was a good idea, I will admit. But that's just it. He became a pillar. A single symbol. Without him, our society will collapse in under a year without a proper replacement. So what? You don't think the top 10 can handle it? He demanded. For a while? Yes. But in a few months, a year or two max, they will tire. They will wear thin to replace the hole All Might left. What we need is a number of symbols. I say, finally coming to the crux of the matter. There are 10 soul traits. 7 are regular. 1 is evil. 1 is one I fear. And the last is my own. A number of symbols? And what are these traits? Red, determination. You've seen the basics with what Frisk Dreamer can do. Yellow, justice. You saw my fight versus All for One, right? Notice how despite my attacks lacking impact, they seemed to hurt him an extreme amount. I knew something was off. That is called karma. The more wrongs one does, the more a weak attack will hurt. Even if I merely caused a slight burn, I could cause third-degree burns all over his body, I explain. Orange, bravery. I mentioned that earlier. Cyan, patience. I mentioned that one as well. Blue, integrity. Being honest with yourself and others. One can make saw blades, a sort of soul sonar, energy pulses. Purple, perseverance. Green, kindness, healing, and shields. Those are the common 7-inch. And the other 3? I'll start with black, hate. This is a dangerous one. Hate, if mastered, can enhance one's magic. But it's sentient for magic users, I explain. It wants nothing less than total death and destruction. All for One had a hate soul. Originally, I could tell he had a patient soul. This why he world isn't just smoking ruins. Next is pink, fear. It feeds on the user's fear as well as that of the surrounding people. With it, one can even resurrect those they've killed as minions. They are particularly dangerous because the user can manifest their magic if forced to feel so much fear that they think they'll die. Only determination souls have the same near-death awakening scenario. He looked pale as I explained fear. And the last one. Monster. An upside-down white soul. Anyone with a monster soul has unique magic. I personally have a monster soul. My bones and skeleton body are my unique mag dash, a small form slammed into my leg, distracting me. I turn and look down, seeing a little girl with white hair and a horn. She was dressed in an oversized shirt and bandages, all dirty and ratty. Her skin was pale, as if she'd not seen the sun in years. Considering she's maybe 5, that's just not right. "Hey kiddo, are you okay?" I ask, kneeling, pulling my hands out to offer her a hand up, palm open. She flinched, a fear of hands. "No." Touching. "Kiddo, do you need help?" I ask. She looked at me in shock and hope before suddenly lunging forward, hugging me. "Please, he'll hurt you," she whispered. "There you are, Ari." As she walked with him, I frowned and checked their souls. He seems to have a justice soul. He truly believes whatever he's doing to her is just. I look at Ari only to almost have a heart attack. There, quite plainly, was a dual trait soul. Determination and fear. "Oh no. Oh no." I gasp. "What is it, Sans?" "Her soul." I look at him. "It's a dual trait soul." "That can happen." "Yes, but it's very, very rare. One must have balanced traits for it. Kids are the most likely people to have them. But that's not the issue." "What is it?" "Her soul. It's determination and fear." His face lost all color. "But you said dual trait souls need to be balanced." "Yes, and if she's determined enough to go back to what I can reasonably assume is hell on earth. Her hair isn't natural white, and those bandages are covering torture scars. Her soul, its determination and fear." His face lost all color. "But you said dual trait souls need to be balanced." "Yes, and if she's determined enough to go back to what I can reasonably assume is hell on earth. Her hair isn't natural white, and those bandages are covering torture scars." "What do you mean we can't just grab her?" I demand. "She's not in the system, so it couldn't be considered kidnapping." The moment we returned 3 hours later and Mirio, I refused to call him Lemillion in my head, had told Night Eye about her, and I explained the dangers of her soul traits. They'd done a search on her in the system. Nothing. And Night Eye said that we couldn't do anything. "How do you plan on grabbing her?" "They'd see a skeleton coming from a mile away," Night Eye countered. "They won't see me. I have ways of moving around nobody else does, without limitations. I can get in and out without a single person knowing till I'm long gone." "Doesn't matter. That's vigilantism." "Not with magic. There aren't laws against what I can do. I can do what I want with my magic, and nobody can legally do a thing," I emphasize. "Especially since I already found their base. It has an unregistered tunnel system spanning the entire city." "The entire city? How do you know?" "I have an ESP field, a sphere I can sense stuff in. Right now I'm expanding it across the entire city. Straining, but doable. An unregistered tunnel system is a gray area for trespassing. She is down there. I can feel her right now." He stared at me. "No." I glower before abruptly turning around and stalking towards the door. "Don't you dare go get her, Midoriya. We need a warrant." I pause and turn towards him, my eye flaring like it did against All for One. A hero risks everything to save as many as they can, sacrificing it if necessary. Right now, a little girl is going through hell because she chose to return to her tormentor rather than risk Mirio and I dying. The way I see it, she's more hero than you. Be glad I'm not giving you a bad time. I slam the door behind me, feeling my hate boiling under the surface. I shortcut to Nizu's office. Little girl being tortured by a villain and has no identity in any system. I have her location and can grab her immediately. Night Eye refuses to let me do it. "Do I grab her?" I ask. If I wasn't his student, I'd just do it. But because I am, and he's always been kind to me, I'll listen to his advice. Age, soul, and quirk. Under 8 years old, dual trait determination and fear. Some kind of horn on her right temple. Go but. He held up a paw before I could vanish. Ask her for any important information. And if there's extra information, handle it with extreme prejudice. I'll handle Night Eye. I nod and shortcut, reappearing in a dark room. "Kiddo," I called in a hushed tone. "And Mr. Bones?" I hear Ari ask. "Yeah, kiddo, it's me. I'm here." I summon a bunch of blue bones, their light showing me the room. Ari sat on the bed huddled in the sheets. "Mr. Bones, She leapt towards me. They got you too? No, I got in here myself. Nobody knows I'm here. Listen, what's going on? I ask, kneeling before her. Oh, Overhaul wants to use my bee blood to make quirk erasing bullets. My eyes go dark. Sorry. What? He takes my blood. He wants to erase quirks, she repeated. I am sorry I'm a curse. No, you are not a curse, Eri. I say quietly, but firmly. B, but my quirk makes people disappear. I don't care if your quirk destroys cities. Nobody is a curse. Now do you know where they make the bullets? I want to destroy them. She hesitantly nodded. Great. I'm going to vanish for a few seconds. I'll bring back a friend to help. She's really nice, she hesitantly nodded. I shortcut to Frisk, grab her from her room, and shortcut back to Eri. Sans water, who's this? Frisk asked. Frisk, this is Eri. The people in this tunnel system are draining her blood for quirk-erasing bullets. Nizu's given me the green light for extreme prejudice. Give them a bad time. With pleasure, she said, malice filling her voice as a red knife formed. She vanished, and the metal door, heavy-duty steel, was kicked out of the wall. I notice Eri looking at the hole in fear. She's going to hurt the people who hurt you. Don't worry, Frisk can't die. She comes back after dying, I reassure her. Now, think you can guide me to those bullets? She nodded hesitantly. Great. I heave her up and into the air, summoning a medium gaster blaster. I set her on. Lead on, young lady. I followed her directions. She seemed very nervous, but we entered a lab undiscovered. In the distance, I could hear explosions and screams. Looking around, I found a highly advanced lab. So where would they be? I asked. She wordlessly pointed at a glass cabinet on one wall. Ignis, I cast, and throw the fireball on one side of the room, destroying half of it. Opening the cabinet, I saw a row of tin bullets in a gray metal case, each separated by black foam insulator and a note on it. First successful batch. They were dated today. I grabbed them and slipped the case in my pocket, even as my magic MI flared with determination. I snapped my fingers and used a pair of gaster blasters began shooting powerful blasts around the room, destroying hard drives, computers, and highly complicated scientific technology. There, no recreating them, I smile at Eri. My head snaps to the side as I hear the door open. In walked Frisk, looking like she'd gone on a nice jog. Huh, why didn't I notice the screams had ended? There we go. I killed everyone in the building and tunnels. She looked towards Eri, who only tilted her head at Frisk. Even Overhaul. Guy with the red and gold mask. Eri nodded. Yep, he's dead. I want to see. Frisk went to refuse, but I wiggled my finger to cut her off. Are you sure, Eri? I need to see. I nod and look at Frisk, who knew I wouldn't be swayed on this. Fine, this way. I followed, Eri trailing after me on her blaster. After a minute or two, we came out into a massive area, and there in the middle of the room was an armless, legless corpse. A light tap-tap preceded Eri's small form walking over to Overhaul's corpse. Without my command, the blaster followed her silently. She just stood there for a bit. Understanding that she needed a few minutes, I sat beside her and pulled her into my lap, running my fingers through her hair. She shook and sobbed, relieved sobs echoing around the chamber. Frisk sat beside us and only held onto Eri's hand. We sat there for a good half hour before Eri finally spoke. The bullets, her voice was raspy. I bring them out and open it, showing it to her. I know what she wants. She wants to erase her own quirk. A single bullet stuck into her upper right arm, and her horn clicked against the ground, slowly fading in golden sparkles. I put the case away and stand, lifting Eri onto her blaster. Ready to go? I ask softly. Why, yeah. Frisk grabbed onto my shoulder, and I hold Eri's hand as I shortcut to Frisk's room. I have to inform Nizu, but I'll be back soon. An hour later, I returned to the bedroom and slipped into the bed, finding Eri was dressed in small pajamas like Frisk's and sleeping on her chest. She looked so peaceful. I snuggled in, closing my eyes and holding the pair close. I woke the next morning and opened my eyes, looking down to feel my soul skip a non-existent beat. Ari was snuggled between Frisk and I, her face pressed into my chest, and Frisk spooning Ari. It's so cute. Oh. As if my gaze was enough, Ari woke up, letting out a cute yawn before freezing. Her head tilted backwards as she looked up at me, and I smile. Good morning, Ari. Feeling better? I asked softly. She nodded wordlessly. That's good. Hungry. Another nod. We need to move carefully. Frisk gets grumpy when she's woken early. I grab Ari by the armpits and shortcut, vanishing and reappearing in the kitchen downstairs. Once there, I set Ari on the counter. Now, what are you interested in? Cereal, fruit, pancakes? I toss out a few options. What are pancakes? It took a strong sense of will to not react to the hate I felt at that innocent question. Pancakes are well. Do you know what a cake is? A shake of the head. Oh, well, they're a warm fluffy, but if bread you can put chocolate and syrup in top. I'll make some and you can try them. Decision make I began cooking, making a bit of a show of it as my eye flared blue and the kitchen whirred into life. Doors opened and closed, ingredients flying out, some spinning around Ari. A particular egg danced along her shoulders, ducking around the back of her neck and on her head. I conduct the ingredients like a maestro at an orchestra. As I was hoping the tap-dancing egg got Ari to giggle. Finally, the pancakes and some homemade syrup were dished up. Now a word of warning, syrup can taste bad if you have too much, so I suggest a small dollop. I squeeze a small dollop onto her pancakes, watching it ooze over them. The next few minutes were filled with me teaching Ari how to use a knife and fork. Those bastards hadn't taught her anything. Though we did have a bit of fun cleaning up, it seemed that with Overhaul's death and her seeing his body, all of her trauma had come to a close. Oh, no doubt she'll need a therapist. Frisk and I can do that, though, considering how many times we've helped the other after they went insane and all that. Once I got Ari cleaned up, used some makeup on Ari's arms and legs, and dressed her in some clothes I made, I took her to the music room. One of the 1C kids has a music quirk, so one of the spare rooms was set apart for her to play and use her quirk. I looked around before finding what I was looking for. Want to hear me play the piano, kiddo? I asked. The what? I point at the grand piano in the corner. The big thing sounds nice. I'll even sing. I needn't have bothered sweetening the deal because she was already all for it. Yes, yes, I want to hear. She bounced up and down eagerly. All right then. I sat down and lifted the wooden protector for the keys. A few experimental presses let me tune it. Seems nobody plays piano. Their loss. I sat down and lifted the wooden protector for the keys. A few experimental presses let me tune it. Seems nobody plays piano. Their loss. You're playing? I turn and see Frisk. Yeah, I was thinking a nice Megalovania. Bit fast and dark for a first-timer, don't you think? She came in and took a seat. Not fast, the slow one. And with what she's been through, it's not dark. Come on now, kid. You and me together. Come and let's see which of us is better. I guarantee that for your endeavor I'll see it end, here now and forever. For so long now I have seen all of the paths and where they all will lead. I made a promise to a friend, but now it's one I can't keep. You have betrayed every soul of every monster you have encountered. You've generated genocide, but I refuse to be beat. Now I know that I'm alone, but I have to stop you where you stand so you won't win the game. So it's for your friends and mine I have to fight right now. I have to give it my all. I won't hold anything back, so you had better be prepared. I will sacrifice everything that I have somehow. So please, my friend, just let this end. Come on now, kid, you and me together. Come and let's see which of us is better. I guarantee that for your endeavor. I'll see it end, here and now. So in this fight, you are going to pay for the lives lost, all those that you have slain. So come here, kid, because it is the day. You will now know the true meaning of pain. Come on now, kid, you and me together. Come and let's see which of us is better. I guarantee that for your endeavor. I'll see it end, here now and forever. For so long now I have seen all of the paths and where they all will lead. I made a promise to a friend, but now it's one I can't keep. You have betrayed every soul of every monster you have encountered. You've generated genocide, but I refuse to be beat. Now I know that I'm alone, but I have to stop you where you stand so you won't win the game. So it's for your friends and mine I have to fight right now. I have to give it my all. I won't hold anything back, so you had better be prepared. I will sacrifice everything that I have somehow. So please, my friend, just let this end. Come on now, kid, you and me together. Come and let's see which of us is better. I guarantee that for your endeavor. I'll see it end, here and now. So in this fight, you're going to pay for the lives lost, all those that you have slain. So come here, kid, because it is the day. You will now know the true meaning of pain. I finish the song and just sit there, memories flashing through my mind. After a minute of silence, I turned to Eri to see her just looking at me. Then I noticed the look in her eyes wasn't disgust or fear or even happiness. It was confusion. I I don't understand. I want to understand, but what happened? Eri seemed confused. I pull Eri into my lap and turn to Frisk. I mouth over Eri's head the word memory. She seemed concerned, but eventually nodded. I I can show you if you'd like, Eri. I can show you a lot of my memories about what happened she needs to know, especially if I'm to teach her about magic and controlling her traits. Please, this wasn't the 5-year-old child talking, but the mind that was matured through trauma and pain. I brought my hands to her temples, blue flame like magic slowing from the tips of my fingers into her temples as I feed her memories. First I started with the war, the barrier, and the souls that were already collected. Then I showed Frisk a number of pacifist routes, resets, and finally, I showed her genocide routes. It hurt for me to further strip innocence from her, but it can't be helped. I showed Flowey and Chara talking to Frisk, Frisk naively accepting Chara as a friend only to be controlled. I showed how entire universal timelines were destroyed. I showed her Glitchdale, Bête Noire, hate and its dangers. I showed her one of the only 2 good Charas I've met mastering and using her hate. It took a full hour to do. That's how many damn memories it took. I finished up with the therapy Frisk and I underwent to mitigate the impact of the memories mentally and emotionally. But finally my hands fall to my sides. Eri opened her eyes, looked at Frisk, looked up at me. I saw raw understanding in her eyes. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. It was worse than Overhaul. It wasn't Eri. I knew what was happening. I could have killed Frisk the moment they reset over and over before they gained LOV, but I didn't. I could have tried to warn the monsters, but I didn't. So much. You had no chance of beating Overhaul. You're a child, no knowledge of the wider world. You were lost and alone for so long. I hug her closer. We have been through 1,000,000 timelines since we got together, an extra couple 100,000 before that when I didn't know Frisk wasn't Frisk. I understood what was happening. You didn't. That's why it's worse. Ignorance is bliss. You said that once when you saw Outer, Papyrus being his childish self, Frisk said suddenly. I just sigh? Can I learn magic now? I want to do the cool magic knife Mama makes, Eri said before suddenly slapping her hands over her mouth. Mama, I ask. Sorry. Some of your childhood slipped in. You asked about your mother a lot. Frisk feels like a mama. That would make Sans Papa, wouldn't it? Frisk asked coyly. Papa Bones is getting old. Eri giggled before regaining her nervousness. So. It's okay. It is. I like it, at least a soft smile. Same. And I'll let Sans teach you how to access your magic. Later on I'll teach you my cool magic knife. Not right now. This afternoon. First I need to get you a checkup, see what you need to fill out. I feel those ribs, young miss, I tease, poking her ribs. I feel yours too, Papa. You're looking a bit bony. I gasp. Oh, baby's first pun. I knew you'd be a punster. I squeeze her. What can I say? It's punny to see Mama's face twist. Eri grinned at Frisk, who had facepalmed. Hee hee. We're going to drive your mother up the wall, something she should be used to after all our fights. I reference my gravity magic. It's called blue magic, but I much prefer the idea Izuku has telekinesis and gravity manipulation instead of a single blue magic thing that only affects the soul mode. Oh, go get a checkup already. My classmates are probably waking up soon anyways, Frisk sighed in fond exasperation. She loves me whether or not I give her a headache, and I'm certain she'll be no less loving when Ari does it too. Ari giggled, and I shortcut us to Recovery Girl's office. Recovery Girl? Got a little girl I need a full physical for if you're free, I called, already wiping the makeup I'd applied earlier. Recovery Girl has a green soul and was the first person I taught magic here. It was a test to see if what I did was a fluke. She stumbled on the healing and shield abilities quickly. Also heal scars based off age. 10 years and less, the scar fades. Under 10 years old with said scar, perfectly smooth skin. I'll be here in a sec. I have some filing to do, she called back. I set Ari on the bed and sat in the chair beside it, letting of an air of relaxation. It caused Ari to visibly relax. All right, sweetie, what seems to be the issue? RG came in. Villain group drained her of blood constantly to make quirk-erasing bullets. She likely has a phobia of needles, has a gut reaction to avoid palms, and it likely 7. Oh, and she willingly erased her own quirk. Right. You always do bring me the oddest cases. Anything I should note? She asked as she took Ari's pulse. She's adopted Frisk and I as her parent figures, and her soul is dual trait with determination and fear. Impressive soul, miss. 2 of the most powerful traits in one. You're a lucky 1-inch, RG chuckled while grabbing a tongue stick. Now say RG looked at her tonsils. Thanks. Papa played piano earlier. It was amazing. Was it? What was the song? Megalovania Piano Edition, I say simply. And I know it's dark, but considering her past, a little talk of genocide doesn't affect her. Right? Well, I do need some blood to test her iron and vitamin count, Recovery Girl said, grabbing a syringe. You know how to do this. I'll stay over here since I can tell she doesn't quite trust me yet. I took the syringe, carefully extracting blood while distracting Ari with that blaster that seems awfully attached to her. I do recommend a green soul 4-drip. I have a few bags prepared in case you or Frisk ever damaged your souls like idiots. Thanks, I can administer it. A week, would you say? I clarify. Yes, at least until her hair is regaining color. RG stepped into the back and came out with a drip and bag. Perfect, I'll leave the whole blackmail thing to Nizu since I know he's listening. My phone vibrates and I check it. Nizu indeed. I shake my head. Power plays like that are useless against a man my age. How about we head back to your mother's dorm building, Ari? I can play a song. Can Mama sing this time? Ari asked. You can ask, but she prefers to stay silent most of the time. I shortcut us back, and Ari jumped into Frisk's arms while I went upstairs. I came down to find Frisk moving to the music room, tugged along by Ari, who had a small turned-up lip instead of a smile. She managed to convince you? I asked. Yeah, come on. Since she heard your therapy song, she asked to hear mine. Oh, that one. My fingers pressed the keys in an old pattern, one of the few I could do asleep. What have I done? I never wanted this. Now that they're gone, something feels amiss. Hands are stained red, blood of all my victims. Full of regret, someone stopped these symptoms. For so long now I was taught. This was the true ending to the plot. Silence fills the empty halls now. This is the ending I've got. Echoes of his biting words. Accusations full of bitter loathing. Write them in my empty heart then. Leave me here to rot. Now I know that I'm alone. He tried to stop me where I stood. But I still won the game. Should I feel victorious at what I've done right now? I had to give it my all. They wouldn't stand for less. My hand was moved against its will. If I could go back, I'd change my actions then somehow. You're gone, my friend. Now let this end. What have I done? I never wanted this. Now that they're gone, something feels amiss. Hands are stained red, blood of all my victims. Why can't it end here and now? So in the end, this was my true judgment. Never to rest since the day I fell. All those lives lost, conflicted emotions. Save a seat for me next to you in hell. Frisk's voice, beautiful as ever, held all of the raw emotion of the memories in each word. That was so pretty, Ari sniffled. I didn't sorry, having seen enough girls happy cry to recognize it. Your voice is beautiful. I have major concerns. My head twists like an owl to look at the new voice at the door. Mr. Aizawa. Shit. I have major concerns. My head twists like an owl to look at the new voice at the door. Mr. Aizawa. Shit. I came looking for you because you weren't in your dorm last night, and I got a particularly concerning call from Naitai. He said, rising from his leaning posture. This caused the door to creak open more, revealing the rest of Frisk's class. I can see he was right to be worried. I looked back at Aizawa, who was looking at Eri. Do you know what they were doing to her? Has Nizu informed the teachers yet? I asked. No, he knows. He gave me permission. They were draining her blood to create quirk-erasing bullets. She's since used one of the only tin made to erase her own quirk. Nizu has the remaining 9-inch. I see his eyes flicker red for a moment. Nizu approved of it. He looked to me. Yeah, I called in Frisk after learning the full situation. She handled the Yakuza while I the research and genetic material. Trust me on the fact that they won't be coming after Eri. His eyes expertly scanned Eri, locating and identifying each scar. Naitai is an idiot. Good work. However, we will be talking about that song, and why Miss Dreamer was so emotional during it. Eri looked up at me. I could tell she was wondering if I'd do a memory spell. My gaze just told her no. She nods. Frisk has a paired ability with her save/load respawn ability. I say quietly, flicking my gaze to the door. Remember it from her files? The R-. He seemed confused even as I cut him off. Yeah, it says backwards in the file. What it means to say is sideways, and they aren't always the same. I nod to the door, and he flashed a red-eyed glare at our little spies. With a collective eep, they vanished. He let out a long, tired groan as he turned back. Sorry, you said sideways? He pinched his nose. So you vanish from the face of the planet, each reset, and merge with our younger selves of the timeline. If we end up in the last timeline of a section, we take over a new version of ourselves, i.e. my having skin. We become that person, mind and body, but keep our abilities as we do so. Wait, so? You aren't Izuku. I am. We are us. We believe we end up sleeping after each time, until that self reaches a certain point that they remember. For us, that only happened during the sports festival fight. The way you seem distracted all fight, he said, realization flooding his tone. We were remembering a few previous times we'd done the same fight. Only when I conceded the fight normally, I'd have summoned a bunch of bones through her body. Yes, your abilities, the magic. Why did you awaken those before your memories? I was nearly killed, if you recall. Put in a coma where I touched my soul. I snapped my fingers, my soul forming. I messed with my sleep, pulled my original core magic out. The rest remained hidden with my memories till we met. I awakened my magic on the same day, sans did. Frisk said. You call him by his hero name? By his actual name. The one his soul was born with. The one he's had for 900,000 resets. He frowned before seemingly realizing something about our story was off. But you hit the reset, not him. How do you remember Midoriya? We're soulmates. Yes, red strings of fate, and all that. We are bound together through time and space. A determination soul is capable of defying fate, thus the save/load ability. I'm pulled along with each reset and remember my past. Well, there's a lot of trauma. We've seen and been therapists in a few timelines, so we help each other when it gets tough. I suggested the idea of songs. Frisk offered up. Since I can't apologize to those I've hurt when controlled, instead I made that song. It helps me remember while venting the guilt. And you chose? Piano. No. We made a few versions of each song based off the instrument or technology of where we are. Some places don't have electricity. I don't think Aizawa had anything to say to that. That night, I put the 4 of green magic into Eri's soul, experience from when Gaster experimented on me as a child. This is going to feel wonky. You need to make sure not to move around too much as souls are very fragile, I explained softly, before laying beside her, my arm going over her to hug her to me. Frisk, and I will take turns till you're all healed up. Earlier we'd forced a manifestation of her magic, and other than the red shield, we didn't have Eri do anything too strenuous. Just call on her barrier. The red film was an important magical ability one needs to have. Saved me in a few different fights. Good night, Papa. Good night, Eri. The next day, I found myself in Naitai's office again. The usually well-groomed, calm, and collected man looked like he hadn't slept all night, and his tie was crooked. You went against my orders, and now? My informants have told me that nobody has entered or exited the base of the Yakuza. They've gone underground since you disobeyed my orders and went after the girl. He seemed to be struggling to keep his patience. They haven't gone to ground Night Eye. But there's no need to investigate them anymore. My smile didn't shift, and it was clearly aggravating him. Yeah, because they've moved air base of operations elsewhere. No, I mean there's no point investigating dead men. Tension filled the room as he realized the meaning of my words. You killed them. Not me. Just someone I know who despises child experimentation. I didn't kill a single person. My smile slips. I wish I could have killed at least one, but Frisk was particularly efficient this time. You called in a villain? No, he called in me, Frisk said from the side. I glanced to see she's currently attempting to create some sort of miniature gaster blaster from raw determination. You? I get you're fast but deadly. I don't think you'd be capable of just killing others, Night Eye said dismissively. And I am. I query. Or is this a matter of the fact she's a woman in the General Studies course rather than Hero course? To be in the General Studies course means she failed a very simple entrance exam, and in turn couldn't bring herself to destroy the robots. I had a cold. I was shooting determination blasts with my sneezes, and I couldn't see. You try fighting while missing 2 senses, and your 3 others are messing with your ability to even focus. Frisk abandoned her attempts and stood, taking a relaxed posture. You have no idea our capabilities. Sans is stronger, faster, and has a ton more stamina than me, true. But he has more speed, strength, and stamina than the entire planet combined. The lazy fool that gave up in your fight because he was tired. He jerked his thumb at me. Not tired. Bored. I find it rather difficult to engage with enemies that I can toss around so easily. My voice turned to a drawl. With our repaired memories, that won't happen against Frisk again. Repaired? Memories. His eye twitched. You had brain damage? Why was I not informed of this when you signed up? Above your pay grade, I'm afraid. And not brain damage. Anyways, was there anything else? I asked, looking down at my fingers. I have a little girl's trauma to remedy. I can hear that I twitch. No? Great. Night Eye reached across his desk and pressed a button on the phone. Bubble Girl? Send Mirio, Centipede her up here, please. I have 2 X-Work Studies students to arrest. Ooh. I pull my phone out and fire off a quick text to Nizu. Sans, Night Eye's getting Mirio and Centipede her to arrest us. Nizu, thank you for the fun, smiley face. My grin grew as the door opened. You wanted us, sir? Mirio asked. Yes. Arrest these 2 on the grounds of interfering with an ongoing investigation, vigilantism, and mass murder, Night Eye pointed at us. Firstly, I killed no one. Second, you were willing to allow a child to be abused for legal reasons. And third, I had permission. Another hero's permission doesn't matter because you signed up for my agency, meaning my orders take priority. Is that so? Nizu's voice spoke from Night Eye's computer. Rat. Fool. Still believing everything you see. Still drinking expired tea? I don't drink expired tea. It's a unique blend. Anyways, to the reason of my call. You hacked my computer? Hack is such an ugly term. I prefer reprogram. Or overwrite. I call. Who overwrite? Yes. Anyways, Midoriya told me of your order, the reasoning behind it, and explained how he was tracking the people involved. I gave him permission as his principal and a higher rankings hero than yourself to handle it with the utmost care. By care you mean kill everyone. Whatever the situation called for. He is my judge. With what they were doing to that poor girl, killing them would have been a mercy compared to what I would have done. But his very magic allows him a unique view of innocence and violence, justice and corruption, heroes and villains. I could feel the malice in Nizu's voice. Considering they were literally tearing apart a child at the molecular level for DNA to use for quirk erasing bullets, without sedation or proper dietary requirements. Being killed efficiently and as painlessly as possible is mercy compared to prison. Too true. Be that as it may, as heroes they must learn to act within the law. Oh, shut it. Sometimes one must seek forgiveness than ask permission. Else nothing important happens. It's a huge aspect of history. Hero does things against the grain. Hail the hero if he succeeds, forgotten if he fails. Nobody cares about laws unless they benefit from them in any way. Loopholes at stuff. So get off your high horse and understand that Midoriya did good. And Dreamer did the best thing in the situation. She murdered Dash. Zip it. Doesn't matter. What matters is that had they been arrested, they would have died in prison. In prison, there's a simple understanding when it comes to children. If you hurt them, expect pain and misery before death. Dreamer at least saved them pain. You should be proud of her. Bullshit. Then sign them over to the UA agency as a work study and pretend you never saw them. Simple enough. Take them. I don't want them here. He shot us a foul look and I roll my eyes lights. I turned to Mirio, who seemed confused. Mirio, I have two simple questions. First, if you had to choose between saving Eri the day we met her, or waiting a week for paperwork before storming the place, which would you do? WL Sir Dash. Ah, I asked which would you do, not what Night Eye would do. If you saw her in the state she was in, and had to choose, risk fighting an unknown enemy to save a girl, and get in major trouble with your superiors and the law, or wait a week for paperwork during which that girl is beaten, abused, and tortured, if not killed for escaping. Save her, he answered resolutely. Now, if I were to teach you magic, would you keep how you learn it a secret? From your bosses, your family, even your future wife and children. Why would that need to be a secret? He asked in confusion. I just looked to Frisk, who nodded. I summon a bone and kill her. What the fuck? He screamed, getting prepared to fight. Right here, sounded from behind them. They spun and saw Frisk, who stepped back in. Determination's soul magic. She can come back after death by refusing to die. I answer. If the world has that magic at their fingertips, it would be anarchy. I refuse to teach anyone who won't keep it a secret. I want to teach you. He opened his mouth, but I cut him off. Remember, telling nobody and teaching nobody. That's my only requirement. What makes you so suited to decide who is magic, huh? You should teach all of the heroes this stuff. Crime would drop to nothing. Night Eye cut in. Really not living by his soul trait today, is he? I shake my head. Even a man of his age doesn't understand. Typical. I have seen all of the paths, and where they all will lead, I let my magic eye light up, a strong blue orb staring at him. I have seen all of the paths, and where they all will lead, I let my magic eye light up, a strong blue orb staring at him. And they all lead to a bad time. Humans cannot be trusted en masse with magic. They cannot be given something so powerful and diverse. It takes a single corrupt person to sell the information. Then everyone has it, I warn. But to be honest, it's only thanks to Frisk that I'm making this offer in the first place. She thinks I should give humans a chance, so I'm willing to humorous her. Mirio seemed confused. Like, I don't care if you continue to work with Night Eye and crap, but do what's right rather than what the laws demand. If we did that, then we're no better than mercenaries, and I've been that a fair amount of times. All right. Good. I took over Aries' magic training while Frisk looked after Mirio. She'd fight him, and he'd have to use only his magic to defend himself. I was getting the nagging feeling that I was forgetting something important, but I couldn't figure out what it was. If it was important, I'd remember it. Instead, I turned my attention to the festival coming up, meant for the students to pick a class project and work together. The class had chosen to do a concert. Can anyone play any instruments? Anyone? Gyro called. Nobody. Papa can. Eri called from my lap, playing with her magic. Like Nor, she'd formed a little sentient ball of fear magic. She'd named him Squishy. Like that idiot can play an instrument, but Kugo cackled. He's a lazy good-for-nothing skill dash. Don't you dare say things like that about my papa. Eri was suddenly hovering over him, doing Chara's terrifying murder face with Squishy having black-eyed and a sharp-toothed grin. On one hand, I'm round because she's just so cute. On the other, I want to demand why Frisk taught her that face. I noticed that Bakugo was frozen in fear, eyes wide open in shock. Okay. Immediately, Eri's entire demeanor calmed. Thank you. She walked back over and took her place on my lap. Ieri, did Mama teach you anything about how to scare people? I asked, only stuttering once. Hmm? No, what? Oh, so she didn't teach you how to make a scary face? Please tell me she did. No. Okay. Well, I think you touched your fear magic when you yelled at Mr. Explodey Hands. Your face changed. So, I'd ask you not do that often. It scared me too. How did it change? I just pushed the memory into her mind and watched her face grow ashen. Oh, I won't do that again. No, that's a good thing to be able to do. No need to hurt someone when you can scare them, right? I just wanted to be sure. That was Chara's face. I'd always darkened Chara's killer face since I was worried it might trigger some sort of panic attack. Only me saying this seemed to have made her terrified. Aamich Chara? No, we got rid of seeing evil hers. You are you. Nobody else, baby. I whisper in her ear softly. Use that ability sparingly, dear, but use it if you need it. You aren't Chara, and I'll never treat you like you're her. You're my little Araberry. She regained some color. What about Mama? She'll say the same thing. You're our precious little girl. We don't care if you share a face with our worst memories. You aren't that person, I reassure her softly. She just leaned into my hug. Aside from that, slightly disturbing episode. You can play an instrument. Jaira demanded. Name what you need me to play. I'll have some hands play it. Hands? Air, what can you play? Anything. I had a lot of time to play as a kid, so I learn a lot of things. Though I am partial to the trombone, for sentimental reasons, I grin. It was Kaminari that laughed at the pun. Name a few instruments. Then, guitar. I snapped my fingers, a pair of Gaster hands formed, and began playing a riff. Next, drums. Boy, they're mine. Bakugo shouted, warding off my next pair of hands with an explosion. Keyboard. Piano work? I ask. I refuse to use an electric version of the perfectly fine piano when there's one I can use. I seem to have passed some test. You're in. How many hands can you control? 9 or 10, why? Because you just became our backup player, and your hands can help with the special effects, she grinned. I just sigh? Try and be helpful, Frisk says. Don't lash out, Frisk says. They make it so hard, love. A week's passed since then, and now it's time for Aries' next magical test. All right, so far you've managed to form your barrier, squishy, and shape him in a few ways. I starts the lesson. Now we need to find your weapon. My weapon? Yes, everyone has a special weapon unique to them. Frisk has her knives, but is even better with her original sword. Chara was incredible with knives. Your grandfather, even as a monster, had his hands. I summon a blaster to cover my left hand, a staff bone in my right. At my base, I dual wield when in a melee confrontation, but I specialize in long-range combat. Today, we find your speciality. And how do I find that? She asked. Well, that's quite simple. Form a stick out of your magic and start swinging. She seemed confused but did so. Now as you swing, feel the way your magic flows. Feel the air around you. The way your magic slips through the air, and allow it to take the form it pleases. I watch as Eri takes slow experimental swings. Her frown of concentration looked adorable. In the past 2 weeks since rescuing her, I've seen a massive transformation in her. She was skeletal, scarred, and uncertain in her actions. Due to the green magic 4, Frisk, and I giving her memories of good childhoods and training her in magic, she's grown fitter, stronger, and more assured of herself. The stick she's holding shifts between forms from stick to knife, club, and even a staff. But I can tell she's struggling. I don't open my mouth, knowing that it'll be a few more minutes at most. Papa, can one have 2? She suddenly asks. 2. I hold up my hands, still occupied by my weapons. No, I mean, a changing weapon? 2 forms? I don't think I've ever seen that. I cross my arms, tapping my chin with the blaster. But I guess it can't hurt to try, give it a go. She started again, this time starting with a club. As she swung, it slowly slimmed and sharpened, becoming a single-edged silver greatsword with a bright sheen along the edge. Though as I watch her suddenly start to spin around and swing the blade around like an expert, I barely caught the flick that bent the blade backwards, extended the handle, and revealed a particularly dangerous-looking scythe. I wonder if scythes are a basic weapon for fear traits with basic blades for determination traits I'm use. Impressive blade. Let's see how it handles, I grin. A beam of magic shot from my blaster. SE spun her scythe in a rapid movement to block the beam. She looked at me in shock. Wah dash. Let's see how in tune to your magic you are. I dashed forward, swinging at her even as her scythe shifted back to sword form. A lunge from my left arm was blocked as she gave into my downward swing, forcing her blade back into the way. Disengaging, I get rid of the staff, choosing dual blasters. Crow as Aerie, Sans as Tyrion. Ends when Aerie gets disarmed. With a kick, I sent her blade across the grass, sending it hilt deep into a tree. I think that's enough. My blasters vanished. Sorry for the blunt attack, but it's a better test when the student doesn't actually know they're being tested. I shrug. Squishy, get back over here. At my call, the sword became a formless blob that flew back over with a small growl. I can say with certainty that you're at a good B with how in tune with your magic you are. A particularly strong affinity compared to most. B. Aerie chose to ignore the fact I attacked her. E grade is worst. A is the best, so roughly 76% in tune. More get around 30 to 40%. There's S rank, but that's where you literally embody magic. You and your magic are 100% in tune. There is no difference. It's what I'd become with 7 human souls. Seraphim was a rather confusing experience. But I'm glad I no longer have access to the 6 souls. Seraphim Sans has all 7 human souls, but I feel the 6 there were enough to turn Sans into Seraphim considering he's have to be determined enough to take them. B rank is good. Very good, Aerie. Now why don't I show you a few basic attacks? We'll start with the scythe since it's harder. For the next few hours I showed Aerie a few basic attacks for scythes and swords of her type, giving her a bone version to help build muscle memory. Using her magic is useful, but while they don't have weight for the user, they have mass in each swing. I wasn't needed during the festival. Luckily, nobody was sick or had family emergencies, so I handled the special effects from backstage. However, today is something interesting. Joint combat training. The class chorused. I shake my head in amusement. A side glance lets me see my Netta's empty seat. So long, perv. I finally managed to catch enough recorded evidence of my Netta perving on the girls, using the vents to sneak around and taking pictures of the girls. The last time was when I'd finally had enough. Flashback. I was playing with Aerie when I noticed most of the girls were gone. Only Jairu was still in the common area. Jairu, where are all the girls? I asked. Taking a shower. Someone pranked the lockers with glue and feathers, she answered, sending a glare at Kaminari and Ciro, who were wheezing in the corner. My immediate thought to them all being in the shower was about how Frisk looks in the shower. Then I thought of my Netta. You? Reminded them to check for my Netta first, right? Wah. Oh shit, she stood. I wave her off. I'll handle it. You can look after Aerie. I'm not letting you just bust in there, she retorted. I'm already in a very happy relationship. Girls don't look attractive to me anymore beside Frisk, I waved back. Besides, if I was perverted like that, I'd have been deboned a long time ago by Frisk. Walking down the hall, I heard the laughter and grimaced. Using my soul sight, I immediately identified my Netta's corrupted soul. Deciding to throw caution to the wind, my foot slammed the door open, causing shrieks. Wah! Midoriya, what the hell are you doing in here? Yaoyorozu screamed. Relax, it isn't anything I haven't seen before. My eyes slid over them, not even taking a look as the condensation from the hot water beaded on my skull. I lock onto the locker. With a grasping motion, I grabbed my Netta's soul, ripping it towards me. A high-pitched girly shriek cried out at the locker door tore open and a flying, but naked grape with a stiffy shot across the bathroom to the horrified screams of the girls. I slam him into a few walls before hovering his but naked form out of the bathroom. I summon a box of bones with no light, entering or exiting it before entering the common room. Ida, contact Aizawa. I'm sick if this piece of trash in the dorms, I order Ida. The muffled screams of my Netta were enough to make him run out the door to find our teacher. Flashback end. That incident gained me immortal respect from the girls and a very pleasant memory from Frisk. I focused back on Aizawa. Yes, the teachers have decided that you should start training with Class B considering the rapid growth of crime since All Might retired, he said. Sir, considering that we're down a member of the class, won't the classes be uneven? Ida asked. Yes, but not for the reason you think. 2 students are joining the hero course, one replacing Mineta and one joining Class B. A suspicion started to brew in the back of my mind. Who's joining us? Her name is Dreamer Frisk. Come in, Dreamer. I knew it. The door opened and Frisk stepped in. Sweeta babe, I heard Kaminari cheer quietly. Hello everyone. My name is Frisk. I'm female. No, I will not open my eyes. Yes, I can see. I do not have a quirk. Instead, I have magic. And no, I am not single. She turned to Aizawa. May I sit down now? Yes, there's an open seat beside Mito Dash. Sans. Frisk cheered, rushing over to kiss me on the cheek. You sneaky minx, you knew about this last night. I growled playfully. You know each other? Ida demanded in shock. Yeah, he's my man. Got a problem with it, Metal Sonic? I asked, though my time said he better not.